Chapter 76. What else was strange? Fatty Chu asked, Fatty, didn't you realize that the speed at which the person was running before he had reached us was around the same speed as the wolf pack, but once he had thrown the wolf cub to us, his speed increased manifold and disappeared so quickly. There's so much disparity between his speed before and after he met us, don't you think that's strange? Sima Yu said, looking at his earlier actions, doesn't it seem like he deliberately drew the wolf pack to our location? You're saying that the person intentionally drew the wolf pack to our location? That person wanted to hurt us? Fatty Chu shouted out with surprise. Sima Yu gave him an appraising look. Damn, who's that person? Why would he want to hurt us? Fatty Chu cried out, no matter who it is, we will find out eventually. There's no point guessing blindly right now, Ouyang Fei said. Right, there's no point thinking about it now. Since he's still within the mountain, we might be able to run into him, Wei Ziqi said. Everyone's tired out today, we're injured too, I think we should just set up camp and rest. Okay, the 5-man team rested for a day, and during this period, many people passed by their camp. Look, yet another large group of children from the large clans. Fatty Chu sat beside Sima Yu and said as he watched another group of people walk by. Sima Yu watched as that arrogant group of people walked past, and she didn't have any good impression of them. However, speaking of which, Ziqi is also someone from a large family clan. How come he doesn't walk around with his nose in the air like those people do? Fatty Chu puzzled, aren't you the same? Wei Ziqi laughed, how can my clan even compare to your Wei clan? Fatty Chu shook his head. Hey, now that we're on this topic, we still don't know about Ouyang and Bei Gong's clans. Seems like it. Wei Ziqi nodded his head in agreement. When they first started to get to know each other, Ouyang Fei and Bei Gong Tang didn't really talk about themselves. However, at that time, they weren't close yet, so they didn't pry much. After that, even after they had gotten close, they had forgotten to ask. Ouyang Fei shrugged. I don't have any relatives. I'm an orphan. He said it very casually, but Sima Yu could feel a hint of resentment within his tone. I only have a mother and a younger brother. However, they are in a place very far away. Bei Gong Tang said this with a distant look in her eyes as she looked towards the sky. She gave off an aura of hurt and resentment. Sima Yu looked at the two of them, whose eyes looked like they were holding something back. It looks like these two had stories that they did not want anyone to know about. Wei Ziqi patted Ouyang Fei's shoulder, saying, it's okay, we'll be your family in the future. That's right, we're all housemates and we're also a team. In the future, we will be your family, Fatty Chu echoed. Ouyang Fei turned his head and saw the sincerity in Wei Ziqi and Fatty Chu's eyes, his biting cold eyes filling with warmth. Okay, we will be brothers from now on. Right, brothers? Fatty Chu stood up to walk beside Ouyang Fei to take a seat as they gave each other a high five. The camaraderie between these men had initially already been unadulterated. All it needed was recognition for them to become brothers. Sima Yu beamed towards the three of them, saying, hey, count me in. Haha, how could we leave you out? Fatty Chu grinned as he said. Bei Gong Tang watched the few of them laughing and joking with each other as loneliness flashed in her eyes. As if she could not bear to watch this jovial scene in front of her eyes, she stood up to leave. What's up with Bei Gong? Everyone looked at each other with dismay, their eyes suffused with confusion. I'll go take a look at her. Sima Yu stood up and walked towards the direction that Bei Gong Tang had left in. Bei Gong Tang came to the little river bank and watched the river blankly. Hearing something behind her, she turned her head and saw Sima Yu. She asked, what are you doing here? I'm the one who should be asking you, why did you run out on your own? Sima Yu walked beside Bei Gong Tang as she casually kicked a stone into the river, causing ripples on the water surface. I have something to do somewhere. Bei Gong Tang shook her head. You're intentionally distancing yourself from everyone, Sima Yu said. Bei Gong Tang looked blank and retorted, I'm not. You are. Sima Yu looked at Bei Gong Tang. We've already known each other for a few months and you're always neither here nor there with everyone. You left just now because you saw the way Ouyang Fei and Wei Ziqi were behaving, right? Bei Gong Tang didn't reply. She merely watched the river. You're worried, aren't you? Sima Yu continued, worried about your mother and younger brother. Hearing what Sima Yu had said, the aura exuding from Bei Gong Tang immediately changed. She watched him guardedly, asking coldly, who are you? However, Sima Yu was not scared by her reaction. Laughing, you don't have to be so anxious. I don't know where your family is and don't know what you have experienced. I'm even more uncertain why you are so sensitive. I merely noticed that your eyes reflected some traces of worry. Really? Sima Yu shrugged. I can pretty much be considered as someone who is very well known, although my reputation can't be said to be too great. Whatever I've done has never been any kind of secret. Bei Gong Tang stared at Sima Yuyu for quite a long time. After that, she appeared to have thought of something as she turned around to face the river. Although she didn't say anything, she no longer exuded the cold aura like before. When Sima Yuyu saw her acting this way, she knew that Bei Gong Tang was no longer as guarded against her. The corner of her mouth pulled up as she said, "Although I also used to be a lone wolf, I realized recently that it's not bad to have others with you. No matter what your past was like, if you encounter anything else in the future, during this period, we are all a team. Don't forget, we are comrades who have gone through battles together. Right now, we are people who can entrust our backs to one another. If you ever need someone to confide in, we are." Always hear him. Bei Gong Tang nodded, indicating that she understood. "All right then, let's go back. When they saw that you left without a word, they were all worried about you," Sima Yuyu said as she patted Bei Gong Tang on the shoulder. When they returned back to the campsite, Wei Ziqi and the rest were able to heave a sigh of relief before they started to banter together. Although Bei Gong Tang was the same as before, not really joining the conversation, however, she would still have some replies to the things they said. Sima Yuyu watched this group of people and realized that the battle this time had caused their relationship to become more intimate. If one saw this as a team in the past, everyone who now be regarded as a group of comrades that have fought alongside each other. When night came, everyone returned back to their own tents to rest. Bei Gong Tang lay on her own bed to take a nap when her eyes suddenly flew open, filling with unrestrained delight. "Are you awake, Meng Ji?" "Master, the wounds I sustained last time were too serious. I've only regained consciousness for a while." A female voice resonated within Bei Gong Tang's consciousness. "Meng Ji, it was all because you helped me to escape that you would be wounded to this point. It's already been so many years, but you still need to remain unconscious to heal your wounds." Bei Gong Tang blamed herself. "Master, you do not need to blame yourself. Protecting you is something that I should do," Meng Ji said. "Master, this time I will not be able to stay awake for long, so I will just straightforwardly tell you my reason for waking up. I feel that there is a kind of pill ingredient on this mountain that is about to mature. If I am able to eat it, I will be able to completely recover, Master. If it is possible." Meng Ji's voice became softer and softer. Finally, she was not even able to finish what she was saying before she drifted to deep sleep once again. "Meng Ji, since that pill ingredient will be able to help you to heal your wounds, I will definitely seize it." Thinking of Meng Ji, who was in a coma, Bei Gong Tang tightened her clothes at the waist. Chapter 77. Meanwhile, within Sima Yuyu's tent, she stared at the newly emerged Mo Sha with surprise. "How did you come out when I didn't call you? I am able to enter and leave the spirit pearl freely until the time comes when your strength is greater than mine." "Okay then," Sima Yuyu shrugged, saying, "What did you come out for this time?" Mo Sha looked towards the inner areas and said, "I picked up on a scent." "A scent? What kind of scent? How come I didn't smell anything?" Sima Yuyu used all her effort to sniff around, but she didn't pick up on any particular scent. "It's really far from here. How would the current you be able to smell it?" Mo Sha said with a hint of disdain. "What could it be? That it would actually be able to draw you out?" Sima Yuyu asked curiously. "Golden snake fruit, huh?" Once she heard about the golden snake fruit, Sima Yuyu's brain immediately thought of a fruit similar to the red apple from her previous life on Earth. However, she knew what it would definitely not be something ordinary like that. She had seen it once in a medical book the last time she was inside the spirit pearl. The golden snake fruit was a kind of golden-colored fruit. It flowered for 700 years, bore fruit for 700 years, another 700 years to ripen. Each time, it would produce 7 fruits. The fruit could directly be used to increase one's cultivation rank. However, one could only eat a piece around the size of a fingernail at each time. If not, the energy would accumulate beyond what the body could stand, and it would easily result in one's meridians exploding. If one refined it into a pill, they would not end up with this kind of outcome. However, this kind of pills would cost at least thousands upon thousands of gold for a single pill. When compared to the pills that cost only a few tens of gold per piece, it was more than a few hundred times more precious. Not only would this fruit be able to increase one's cultivation rank, its branch, leaves, and roots were all precious. As a result, once the golden snake fruit was noticed, everyone would fall over themselves to rush to the fruit. However, this golden snake fruit was not easy to obtain. It goes without saying that there would be many spirit beasts guarding it, but once that fruit ripened, Its fragrance would spread for thousands of miles, attracting all the spirit beasts nearby. This was because the fruit was not only useful for people, it could also be used by spirit beasts to increase their rank. I never expected that this golden snake fruit would be so attractive that even you would be moved by it, Sima Yu teased. A precious treasure of heaven and earth is definitely not easy to encounter. Mo Sha did not deny it at all. Furthermore, this item also benefits you. What benefits does it have? Will it increase my cultivation capacity? Once she heard that it brought some benefits to her, Sima Yu's enthusiasm surfaced again. Mo Sha shook his head. Some people only know that it will be able to increase their cultivation, however. Very few people know that it's something that can nourish and repair one's spirit. Your soul had once received a great deal of damage, which would have very large impacts on your future cultivation and alchemy. If you were able to obtain the golden snake fruit to warm and nourish you, it would definitely be extremely useful for the recovery of your soul. Huh? It's also able to recover one's soul? Sima Yu looked at Mo Sha with shock. That's right, this golden snake fruit has absorbed the moonlight, and after that, when it's transforming the inside of your body, will give off a milky white gas. This kind of gas is extremely beneficial for a person's soul, Mo Sha explained. Even if your soul didn't receive any wounds, after being nourished by it for a long time, it would become much stronger. That's amazing. It really is a treasure. I definitely have to obtain this item. Sima Yu immediately sat up and saw that Mo Sha had turned his head around to look at her. She smiled and said, I know you want to use this item to recover your soul. If not, there would be no reason for a guy like you who never wakes up early in the morning to come out and say all these things to me. I am able to sense that there is at least one divine-ranked spirit beast within the vicinity of the golden snake fruit, Mo Sha said. Furthermore, once that golden snake fruit matures, it will draw large quantities of spirit beasts. Add that onto the people who will be drawn, it will definitely not be easy to seize. You will help me, Sima Yu said with confidence. Oh? You are so confident of that? Mo Sha raised his eyebrows in question. Of course, Sima Yu said self-assuredly, if this item had nothing to do with you, you may not help out. However, it is unknown for how many years your spirit has lingered outside your body, and the wounds you sustained are no less than mine. Although the spirit pearl can nourish you, the process is not quick. If you were able to obtain the golden snake fruit tree, you would definitely recover at a quicker rate, and so you definitely need to obtain this golden snake fruit. I can't intervene rashly, Mo Sha said. I know, you just have to act when the time is right, Sima Yu replied as she waved her hands. This golden snake fruit is very picky about its living environment. Who knows why it has grown for such a long time here in Yilin continent, which is such a low-leveled place. Mo Sha puzzled. Who knows, maybe it knows you and I need it, so it decided to grow, Sima Yu joked. Mo Sha's mouth curved into a slight smirk when he heard what she said and was too lazy to reply her. He closed his eyes for a while to perceive something, then opened them to say, the golden snake fruit still needs 20 days to mature. You should go and check out the situation 2 days before that. I got it, Sima Yu nodded in reply. When he saw this, Mo Sha turned back into a wisp of black smoke and returned to the spirit pearl. Sima Yu lay on the bed once again and spoke to herself. 20 days we already have enough spirit beast bodies, so we're just left with having to find some pill ingredients. In half a month, we should be done with them as well. However, it's so dangerous in the inner regions at that time. It would be best for me to go by myself in order to avoid putting the others in danger, but how would I get them to let me go? Forget it, I won't think about it. I'll settle it when the time comes. After thinking through it, Sima Yu closed her eyes and recited the secrets of soul refinement in her heart as she began to cultivate her soul after a day and night of recuperation. Added on to the use of pills, Fatty Chu and the rest had pretty much tended to their wounds. At the very least, they would have no problems hurrying on with their mission, thinking about how they still had a few different kinds of ingredients to find. They packed their things and got on the road on the morning of the second day. In order to save time, Sima Yu threw Little Roar out and let him look for a spirit beast who could talk so they could ask it where the ingredients grew. After he told her, she brought everyone there to harvest it. As a result, they used a total of 12 days before they managed to finish harvesting all the pill ingredients they needed along the boundary of the middle and outer regions. Sima Yu and the few of them kept the fire grass that they had picked from the valley into their interspatial rings. I really never thought that this place would have so much fire grass. Fatty Chu laughed heartily. Bei Gong, Didn't you say that there would be a lot of danger surround the fire grass? How come we haven't seen a single spirit beast? Beigongtang was also a bit puzzled, saying, normally, this place is where spirit beasts tend to gather, but how come there aren't any around? They should have been drawn towards the activity within the inner regions, Sima Yu said. Haven't you guys realized that we rarely encounter spirit beasts recently? They say that when some treasure appears, it will cause a great commotion. I think that they have gone to join in the fun, so that's why Fatty Chu pretended to nod his head earnestly after they had finished harvesting the fire grass that had matured for a certain number of years. Their mission this time was considered to have been completed. Wei Ziqi looked at Sima Yu's figure from behind. He initially thought that bringing him would be a burden, however, he never expected that once they arrived at this place, his contribution to everyone would be the greatest. Since our mission has been completed, when shall we return? Wei Ziqi asked. Hearing what he said, Sima Yu and Beigongtang's bodies stiffened. Chapter 78. You all can go back first. I want to remain in the mountain range for a few more days. Beigongtang was the first one to open her mouth. What's wrong, Beigong? You don't want to go back with us? Wei Ziqi asked. Beigong cast a glance over at the inner region saying, I still have something on. I want go with you all. Beigong, this mountain is really very dangerous. Leaving you alone, Fatty Chu said with worry. I have something I need to do. Beigongtang cut Fatty Chu off. Sima Yu saw that Beigong was very resolute and guessed that she must be going to look for the golden snake fruit. Looking at the way she was behaving, she should have some unavoidable reason. You're going to look for that treasure, Ouyang Fei said. Really? Fatty Chu looked at Beigongtang and asked. Beigongtang blanked out for a moment. She didn't expect that Ouyang Fei would immediately be able to guess it. She nodded, saying, yes, Beibong, we only heard the people passing by say it yesterday. That treasure is in the inner regions. Even without talking about how dangerous the inner region is, during this period of time, there have been so many experts coming in. It's not like you don't know, but it's only possible to obtain that treasure if you have to strength, Wei Ziqi said solemnly. I know, Beigongtang said, but I really have to obtain that item. Why? Ouyang Fei asked. Beigongtang remained silent for a moment, then said, I have my reasons. You all go back first. There's no need to wait for me. No way. If you don't tell us the reason why, there's no way we'll let you go. Wei Ziqi said resolutely. We are comrades who have fought side by side. We won't leave you alone. Neither will we let you take the risk alone. That's right, Beigong, we wouldn't let you remain here by yourself. Fatty Chu agreed. Beigongtang was stunned and opened her mouth, but she didn't say anything. Sima Yu walked beside Beigongtang, patted her shoulders and said, could it be that your contracted spirit beast is injured? How did you know? Beigongtang was extremely shocked. How could Sima Yu manage to guess her true intentions every single time? I guessed it, Sima Yu said. Beigong, is this really the case? Fatty Chu asked. Beigongtang nodded, saying, a few years ago, I encountered some danger and my contracted spirit beast saved me, but she sustained grave injuries and has been in a deep slumber to recover her injuries the past few years. She told me a few days ago, and if she was able to obtain this treasure, she would be able to awaken. In the reason why she had to enter a deep sleep, now that I know that something can heal her wounds, I can't give it up. After she had finished speaking, everyone went silent. Sima Yu placed her hand on her shoulder, saying, actually, I also wanted to go and take a look at that treasure. Since this is the case, I can go with you. You also want to go? Wei Ziqi and Fatty Chu shoulder out simultaneously. Even Ouyang Fei looked at these two disapprovingly. That's right, Sima Yu nodded. I'll go with Beigong. The three of you can don't say that you want us to return first. Fatty Chu said, if you two insist on going, then we will go with you. Wei Ziqi contemplated for a moment and said, although I don't know what that thing is, it's able to entice you two so much. However, if you really have to go, then count me in. Adding in one more person will also be adding on a strength. I won't leave alone either. Ouyang Fei said, you guys. Beigongtang looked over and Wei Ziqi and the gang. When she saw Sima Yu's smile, she felt a tingle on her nose and her heart also started to feel a kind of warmth that she had not experienced for a very long time. She had never considered herself close to them before, but they had actually treated her so kindly. Okay then, since everyone wants to go at that point in time, that treasure won't be given to you alone. Sima Yu saw that Beigongtang was touched and smiled as she said, what? Yu, what do you mean? Fatty Chu asked, since everyone has decided to go together, then I will explain the situation to everyone. After I have finished explaining, you all can decide whether or not you want to go. Sima Yu said, Yu, how do you know? Don't ask me how I know, just listen to what I have to say. Sima Yu said, that treasure is something that is rarely ever seen in this world, the golden snake fruit. What kind of treasure is the golden snake fruit? Ouyang Fei and Bei Gongtang's faces held unconcealed shock while Fatty Chu and Wei Ziqi just looked confused. Although Bei Gongtang knew that the treasure was definitely not ordinary, she never expected that it would actually be the golden snake fruit. It was no wonder that Meng Ji would wake up just to tell her about it. The golden snake fruit flowers for 700 years, bears fruit for 700 years, takes 700 years to mature, and bears 7 fruits at once. Using the golden snake fruit will allow one's cultivation to rise, and it's even better to refine it into a pill. That's why man and beast will fall over themselves to get to that treasure. Sima Yu explained, damn, that's really powerful. Fatty Chu said in shock, that's why it would attract so many darlings. Sima Yu said, however, at this point, I'm not talking about the value of the golden snake fruit. You all also know that a priceless treasure will attract very powerful spirit beasts. That golden snake fruit even has a divine beast guarding it. Divine beast. The other 4 sucked in their breaths. That divine beast, an unparalleled spirit, placing it on the continent made it the top expert. They actually wanted to take those 7 golden snake fruits from that spirit beast's mouth? How difficult would that be? Not only that, Sima Yu continued to explain, when this golden snake fruit ripens, it will give off a fragrant scent that will attract all nearby spirit beasts. We've rarely encountered any powerful spirit beasts recently. And now that this golden snake fruit is quickly going to mature, those few spirit beasts have all headed into the inner regions. That's why, apart from that divine beasts, we will possibly meet countless of other strong spirit beasts, TSS. Everyone had already been shocked. Speechless by what she just said, there's also when Sima Yu saw how they reacted, she thought of wanting to tell them whether or not all she said was true. There's also the experts that have been on this mountain in the recent month, right? Ouyang Fei said. Sima Yu nodded. During the half of a month that they had spent on this mountain, they had met quite a bit of strong people entering the inner regions. This was something she didn't have to point out. Everyone pretty much understood. Heavens. This situation is too scary, okay? Fatty Chu finally found his voice after a long time and lamented, that's why you all have to think this through clearly. Do you want to go or not? Sima Yu said, Bei Gongtang and I have our own reasons why we have to go, but you all don't have to take the risk. After all, this thing is good, but the dangers are just as great. After hearing what she said, Wei Ziqi and the rest thought it over, then said seriously, since it's so dangerous, if you go in by yourselves, wouldn't it be more dangerous? Let's go in and take a look together. If it's really impossible, then you all better not force it either. I promised young Master Yu Lu that I would take good care of you. If you don't return, how could I? Fatty Chu said, I'm interested in that treasure. Ouyang Fei said. Bei Gongtang sniffed, as if suppressing her emotions. She looked at them and said, no matter what the outcome is, this show of friendship, Bei Gong will never forget it. I always had the intention to go, you don't have to count me into that. Sima Yu shrugged and said, looking at his cheeky expression. Bei Gongtang laughed for the first time. Chapter 79. This was the first time that everyone had ever seen Bei Gongtang smile. She always used to be as cold as ice, but her smile this time was simply mesmerizing. Cough cough. Wei Ziqi was the first to come back to his sense, and he pretended to cough twice, saying, where's the golden snake fruit? How long do we have before it ripens? With so many people and spirit beasts setting their sights on it, should we come up with some kind of countermeasures? When Wei Ziqi said this, everyone creased their eyebrows. Just thinking about the spirit beasts was enough to give them a headache, adding on to it the spirit beasts that would be attracted from all over the mountain range as well as the people who had their sights set on it. Without a plan, it would definitely be very difficult to succeed. There are still 7 days before this golden snake fruit ripens. Let's look for the place first before testing out the situation secretly. Well, think of a countermeasure after that. Sima Yu said, but where's the golden snake fruit? Which direction should we head towards? I know the general direction. Head towards the inner region, and that place will probably be very easy to find. Sima Yu said, since this is the case, let's go and find out what the current circumstances are. Ouyang Fei said, wait. Sima Yu called out to stop them. When she saw that they had turned around to look at her, she said, the bodies from the fire wolves from our previous encounter have been with me. I'll give them out to you all when that time comes if we get forced to split up. You all should take it to complete the mission. When she finished speaking, she took out all the fire wolf carcasses from her interspatial ring. She gave a few to each person and they kept them within their own interspatial rings. After that, they moved out actually. Sima Yu was also unsure of which way to go. However, with Mo Sha there to show the way, they just had to hurry along. After 3 days, they came to the inner region that contained the golden snake fruit, following the tracks that those people had left behind. They came to a mountain peak. That golden snake fruit was in the middle of a steep cliff. It was about 100 meters from the ground, and people were crowding around all the other areas of the hillside. The valley had been occupied by countless numbers of spirit beasts. Sima Yu waited until they had reached an empty space, and they looked at the forces all around, shocking them all. So many people and spirit beasts. Wei Ziqi lamented, "We want to capture the golden snake from so many people and spirit beasts." Ouyang Fei did not complete his sentence, but everyone knew what he meant. That was something that was completely impossible. No matter what, I won't give up easily. Bei Gongtang said as she clenched her fists, "Is that the golden snake fruit?" Fatty Chu pointed at the golden snake fruit tree in the center of the overhanging cliff. "With a high place like that, it wouldn't be easy for us to pluck off the golden snake fruit even if there wasn't anybody else." Wei Ziqi said, "Although that cliff is tall, it's not standing straight. There's a little bit of slope under it." Sima Yu observed the area, "But most people won't be able to climb up. At the very least, we can't," Fatty Chu said. "Right now we can only see whether or not we will be able to take action during the chaos that will ensue when the golden snake fruit ripens," Ouyang Fei said. "Bei Gong, if that's not possible, I understand." Bei Gongtang nodded. If they really were unable to come up with any plan, she would not force it. If she were to throw her life away because of it, it would really not be worth it. Furthermore, she still had many things that were waiting on her to do. "I'm just afraid that it won't be easy to take advantage of the chaos." Sima Yu touched her chin and pondered, "Looks like we really have to come up with a strategy." "Yu, look, isn't that the general?" Fatty Chu suddenly pointed to a tent as he said. Sima Yu looked over, and it really was that Sima Lai had brought along a few people from the general residence to pitch camp on the slope opposite the golden snake fruit. "Why is Grandpa here?" When she saw Sima Lai, who had come out from the tent to observe the situation, she immediately hid behind Fatty Chu's body. She spoke to the others. "In any case, there are still 4 days before the golden snake fruit matures, so let's leave this place first." "That's fine too. If we remain here, we might end up as the stepping stones of those powerful masters," Wei Ziqi said. Nobody knew why Sima Yu did not want to go and look for Sima Lai, but they had no reason to stay in this area, so they nodded and left the area together. The 5 of them left the others and stealthily went down the mountain. They came to a mountain peak beside it. Before finding a place to rest, "Yu, why did you want to run when you saw the general and the others?" Fatty Chu waited until they sat down before giving voice to the question in his heart. "If Grandpa knew we were here, he would definitely call for men to bring us back immediately. At that time, how would we be able to fight for that golden snake fruit?" Sima Yu said, "We can carefully scout out the environment in the surrounding areas for the remaining period of 3 days. Wei Ziqi said, "That's fine as well. The attention of those spirit beasts will all be on that golden snake fruit. The inner regions are relatively safer than usual," Bei Gongtang said. Since this is the case, then let Sima Yu had yet to finish what she wanted to say before her expression suddenly changed, saying, "You all wait here for me. I'll leave for a while." "Yu, where do you want to go?" Although the inner region can be said to be relatively safer, it's still very dangerous for a person to head out alone, Fatty Chu said. "Did something happen?" Wei Ziqi asked. "Little Roar just sent me a message. It appears that he has encountered some sort of trouble," Sima Yu said anxiously. Although Little Roar always said that it was a divine beast from the ancient times, it had 0 battle strength right now. If it ended up in a conflict with another party, the outcome of the battle would be uncertain. Furthermore, if it did not encounter any danger, it would not call her so anxiously. Thinking to this point, her heart burned with anxiousness, and could not help but to head over immediately. "Well, go with you," Bei Gongtang said. Sima Yu looked over at everyone and saw that they were determined not to let her venture out alone and nodded, saying, "Ye Guang, bring us to look for Little Roar." Just as everyone was puzzling over who Ye Guang was, a majestic, awe-inspiring iron-clawed tiger appeared in front of everyone. "Master, quickly get on," Ye Guang said. It also felt that Little Roar was in danger and immediately transformed its torso the moment it appeared. It can talk. It's another saint. Ranked beast? They looked at Ye Guang, then looked at Sima Yu. Everyone was incomparably shocked as they never expected that, apart from Little Roar, she would actually have another saint-ranked beast. However, this was not the time to be in shock. Everyone quickly settled their emotions and followed her to climb on Yaguang's body. Yaguang simply said, "Hold on tight." Before speeding along, he headed towards the direction from which he could feel Little Roar. After half an hour, they finally arrived at the place where Little Roar was. However, what they say was not the precursor to a spirit beast's battle, but a small basket. Inside, Little Roar was lying on its stomach with a little bird. With a pair of eyes that appeared listless, it was pulling at his head, and they could tell that something was wrong with one look. Ever since Little Roar had awakened, Sima Yu had never seen it look so listless. Looking at the way it was now really gave her heartache. However, she was upset. Previously, she should not have followed what Little Roar had said and shouldn't have permitted it to wander around the mountain by itself. If not, it would not have been forced into this state by others. It appeared that it could feel that Sima Yu had arrived as Little Roar, who was lying inside the basket, had its eyes suddenly flash and walked over to where they were hiding, just as they were planning to go and rescue Little Roar. The two people who were sitting in the center while drinking wine began to talk about spirit beasts that they had captured. Sima Yu never thought that their trip would actually result in them bumping into a huge plot. Chapter 80. Hey! How many spirit beasts have we caught this time? A man with a large thick waist and a full beard walked out from the tent and asked as he sat down beside the two people who were sitting in the center of the camp. "Boss, we have already caught close to 20 spirit beasts, and 2 of them are even saint-ranked beasts that can talk." The 2 men stood up and said, "Oh, we've already caught close to 20? Full beard said happily. "This time, well, strike it rich. Ha ha ha. Boss, this idea of yours is really great. Those people are going to seize the treasure, but we're here capturing spirit beasts. Those spirit beasts have all been attracted by that treasure, and those who passed us have lost their battle strength because of the knockout drug that we scattered and were directly captured by us. If we sell those spirit beasts to those shopkeepers, we really will strike it rich this time." Those 2 people were happily trying to take the credit in front of their boss. That boss glared at them, saying, "What do you mean sell them to those shopkeepers? Stupid, we will sell these to the Beast Tamer Master Guild." "Ah, Beast Tamer Master Guild? Sigh, you 2 idiots. I have already agreed with Great Master Gu that we will sell these spirit beasts to him, and the Beast Tamer Master Guild will let us tame 5 spirit beasts free of charge," Fullbeard said. "Really? Wah, taming 5 spirit beasts?" The 2 of them cried out happily. "Both of you, keep your voices down. If anyone finds out, watch out or it'll break your legs." Fullbeard chastised. "He, as long as we have those tamed spirit beasts, they will be able to form a contract. It's unavoidable for them to be excited." A middle-aged man dressed in green came out from the tent and said with a smile, "Master Mu, why did you come out?" Fullbeard looked at that green-clothed man and asked, "I came out to see those few spirit beasts that were caught just now," Master Mu said. "Those 2 were just caught. A man carried that basket that Little Roar and that little bird were in." Fullbeard looked at Little Roar and Little Bird, creased his brows and said, "Why would you only catch these kinds of spirit beasts this time? Are they even spirit beasts?" "Boss, how, don't be angry. Although we've never seen these 2 spirit beasts before." Master Mu was speaking when he suddenly opened his eyes wide and was filled with pleasant surprise when he saw Little Bird and said, "Is this the 4-winged roc? It's really the 4-winged roc." Master Mu walked beside the basket and looked excitedly at the listless bird inside. He wanted to stretch out his hand to touch it, but he was apparently filled with worry and eventually encircled the basket, waving and dancing with joy. "Master Mu, what kind of spirit beast is this 4-winged roc?" Seeing Master Mu acting this way, Boss Hao and the other members of the group were watching him with confusion. Master Mu said with false calm, "This 4-winged roc is something that I have only seen in books. It's just another type of spirit beast. What is the spirit beast that looks like a rabbit? How come even I can't recognize it?" The few of them clearly did not believe what Master Mu had said. He said that it was something that he had only seen in books, so how could it be just another type of spirit beast? However, since he had said it, they could not say anything else. However, this Boss House secretly thought that when the time came to sell it, this bird would definitely fetch a high price. "Master Mu, it looks like this is totally not a spirit beast. It's just a rabbit," a member of the team said. "I also feel that it looks like a rabbit." A few others agreed. "How could this just be a rabbit?" Great Master Su shook its head. "Being with the 4-winged roc means it's no ordinary spirit beast. However, It's currently transformed to a different appearance. Wait until I've seen its body, then perhaps I will be able to recognize it. At this time, another 10 over people came over from the forest. They seemed to be laughing and talking on their way. Look, boss, we've caught another spirit beast. A male youth walked over while carrying a basket, and the inside was a saint-ranked black leopard beast. Boss, the medicine you gave us is really good. This guy was extremely fierce just now, but I didn't expect that once it smelled that medicine, it changed into this appearance, allowing us to capture it. Ha ha, Master Mu, it looks like our harvest this time is plentiful. Boss Hao laughed loudly, seeing that they had caught yet another spirit beast. Master Mu's face also broke out into a huge smile, saying again and again, not bad, boss. We bumped into this little guy on the road. Those few men pushed a guy from the back. Sima Yu and them saw that the person who had been kidnapped could be considered an acquaintance. Qingwei, what is he doing here? Fatty Chu asked, How you Kai, you actually didn't care about the agreement that humankind has, using medicine to hunt and kill spirit beasts in such great amounts. Qingwei glared at How you Kai and raged, Hey, isn't this the young commander of the Green Ridge mercenaries? Aren't you completing some missions from Salt City? What did you run over to the inner regions for? How you Kai evidently knew who Qingwei was. Furthermore, from the tone of his voice, the relationship between these two was definitely not a friendly one. Go and die, they actually dared to treat the spirit beasts in this way. When Wei Ziqi heard what Qingwei said, he was so angry that he immediately wanted to lash out. However, he was pulled to a stop by Sima Yu. They have too many men right now, and we are also unable to call out our contracted spirit beasts right now. With just the few of us, how are we supposed to fight them? Furthermore, their strength definitely overpowers us. But Ziqi, you shouldn't be anxious. Since Yu has said it in this way, he definitely has a plan. Little Roar is still in their hands, you know. Fatty Chu comforted. Why are you so angry, Ziqi? Ouyang Fei looked as Wei Ziqi, but he could not really understand. In the past, this guy was always steady and calm, but he was actually hopping mad right now. That's right, Wei Ziqi, why are you so upset? Sima Yu didn't understand either. As a beast tamer master, every spirit beast is our friend. People like them who are using the knockout medicine to catch spirit beasts are the enemy of every single beast tamer master. Wei Ziqi said he had been imbued with a single teaching by his family ever since he was young. Spirit beasts were friends. It was only those who could have chemistry with those spirit beasts that would be able to tame a high-ranking spirit beast. Furthermore, Wei Ziqi had always been around spirit beasts ever since he was young and had already gotten used to having them make up a large part of his life. Hearing now that these people had used these kind of methods to catch close to 20 spirit beasts really infuriated him to no end. Yu, what should we do now? It was rare for Bei Gongtang to take the initiative to ask a question. This showed that she had already become used to this team. Sima Yu looked at Little Roar, who was lying in the basket, and said, They have many people and we are currently no match for them. The most important thing now is to find out what kind of medicine they are using. Since it is a kind of medicine that is released into the air, it is likely that this medicine can directly be carried by the air. As long as we understand this knockout medicine going according to the temperaments of these spirit beasts, these people would definitely not meet a good end, but we're so far from them and we also don't know what kind of medicine they're using, right? Fatty Chu asked. There is. Wei Ziqi said, There's a kind of grass called bittersweet smelling grass. This kind of grass causes spirit beasts to become violent and increases their blood circulation. It can be said to be the antidote to all knockout medicines. As long as we can find the bittersweet smelling grass, no matter what kind of knockout medicine they're using, we'll be able to counter it. But where do we go to look for the bittersweet smelling grass now? Ouyang Fei knitted his eyebrows together. Chapter 81. Yu, how do you have the bittersweet smelling grass? Wei Ziqi asked in surprise. I harvested it the last time when I had nothing better to do. Sima Yu explained. Since we have the bittersweet smelling grass, what should we do next? We should set the bittersweet smelling grass on fire, and the gas that it releases will drift over there. At that time, the knockout drug will be remedied, Wei Ziqi explained. Will this work? Fatty Chu asked. Well, know whether or not it works by testing it out. Sima Yu lit the bittersweet smelling grass in her hands on fire. Although the bittersweet smelling grass had the word bitter in its name, the gas that it produced actually carried an almost indiscernible smell. The smell extended out from her hands, stealthily drifting over to where the camp was. Boohoo when they smelled the fragrance, because those few spirit beasts who had just been caught were not under the effects of the knockout medicine for a long period of time. They were not deeply affected by it. When they smelled the fragrance of that bittersweet-smelling grass, they began to exhibit some signs of aggression. What's wrong with this guy? When they saw the reactions of those spirit beasts, how Yukai remarked, Master Mu, there shouldn't be any issues with the things you gave us, right? There won't be. Master Mu ascertained, didn't those previous beasts all turn out fine? He just said those words when two men dashed over anxiously towards the campsite, saying agitatedly, Boss, the spirit beasts inside appear not to be in good condition. It looks like the effect of the knockout medicine is beginning to wear off. How can this be? The knockout medicine I have should last a month before wearing off, Master Mu said with confidence, haha. It must be that you've done too many bad things that the knockout medicine no longer works. Qing Wuya laughed loudly. You're talking nonsense. How you immediately threw a punch at Qing Wuya's face, directly sending him flying. This guy knows what we've done, and will be a liability if we leave him on this earth. Master Mu looked icily at Qing Wuya. Master Mu is right. Come. Let's send the young commander on a journey. How Yukai said, yes, boss. Two of the men responded as they took out their double-edged swords, preparing to kill Qing Wuya. Stop. The voice that resounded throughout the area caused the two men to pause. Then they suddenly had the impression that a person flashed in front of them before they had been sent flying. Qing Wuya had initially closed his eyes and waited to die. Regretting that he had come here all alone, however, the pain that he had expected did not come after that. He heard the cry of the two men and opened his eyes to see a distinct silhouette standing in front of him. Little sister Bei Gong? Qing Wuya said with disbelief, Big brother Qing, are you okay? Sima Yu and Ouyang Fei came out from their hiding place, looking at Qing Wuya and asked. Qing Wuya nodded his head, saying, I'm fine. What are you guys doing here? We happened to pass by and saw that they were going to kill you. Sima Yu said. They initially thought that these people were from some great clans since they had been sent flying at their hands, but they never expected that it would be three brats who still stank of their mother's milk. You three are so young, but you actually learned how to be busybodies, so if you lose your lives, you shouldn't blame anyone. How Yukai coldly said. Sima Yu and the other three had bumped into and ruined their plans. Furthermore, they were acquainted with Qing Wuya, so they would definitely not allow them to leave this place. Another three have come to meet their deaths. Great Teacher Mu furrowed his eyebrows, saying, we can't let others find out about our plans. Since they are together, we should send them on the same journey. These heartless words were said, showing that these few lives were worth less than ants to them. You want to kill us, but that really depends on whether or not you all have the ability. Sima Yu smiled and said, haha, what kind of ability would we need to deal with the three of you? How Yu guffawed loudly and said, any two men of ours would be able to take care of you. Achao Akai. Two of you go, yes, boss. These two large burly men walked out from the group and smiled coldly towards Sima Yu and the rest as they drew closer. Kids, if you want to blame anything, blame it on yourselves for being busybodies and for finding out about our plans. Throughout the times, dead men are the best at keeping their mouths shut. Achao, why are you still speaking so much rubbish to them? Aren't you going to make a move? How Yukai urged. Sima Yu and Ouyang Fei exchanged glances and watched Achao and Akai who were coming closer. The two of them took action at the same time, running towards them and sending them flying. When they were off guard, Ouyang Fei took a step back, not rushing to meet the person that he had sent flying, shooting a glance at Sima Yu instead. He had always been training his own body, so his body could handle more than a double-edged sword master. It wasn't a big deal to send a spirit master flying. What really surprised him was that Sima Yu would actually be so strong that he could actually send an adult flying. It appears that it was not that his body was very agile. His strength was what shocked a person. Damn your mother. Achao and Akai felt it as they were sent flying by those two children and felt that they had lost face in front of their teammates. Especially since Master Mu was still standing there watching, however. They thought that it was because they were overconfident that allowed these two brats to take advantage of gaps in their defenses. So, the two of them crawled back up from the ground to charge towards Sima Yu and the rest run. Sima Yu shouted loudly as she began to run away from the campsite. She had just finished speaking when she realized that Ouyang Fei was already one step ahead of her. Damn! Although this was something that they had discussed beforehand, she never expected that Ouyang Fei would move so quickly. The two of them had already fully explored the entire place. They had not run far, and instead were just going around in circles around the campsite. A Chow and Akai were panting heavily from chasing them, but were completely unable to catch up. Quickly chase after them. We can't let them get away. Master Mu shouted, quickly chase. If we let them get away, it'll definitely have your heads. Hao Yu also threatened. As a result, a few more people joined the group to chase after them. Qing Wuya saw that everyone's attention had been drawn by Sima Yu and the rest, however. If he wanted to escape, he would definitely be noticed. He walked beside Bei Gong Tang and whispered, "Little sister Bei Gong, in a moment, I will draw their attention, and you must take advantage of the situation to run away quickly. My mission is to protect you, not to run away." Bei Gong Tang coolly said, "We just have to press on for a little longer, and it will be fine." Qing Wuya saw that Bei Gong Tang appeared completely at ease and thought about how there were still 2 more people that were not present. He guessed that they had some kind of plan and no longer urged her to leave. A few more people started to chase them, and although Sima Yu and Ouyang Fei's abilities were not bad, it was hard for a pair of fists to fight against 4, especially since their side had so many people. The 2 of them were eventually pressured to come together as those mercenaries formed a group, encircling the 2 of them in the center. "Brats, where can you run to now?" A Chow never thought that they would actually spend so much time to surround these 2 people in the center. These 2 people were just like mudfish. Every time they were about to catch them, they would always manage to escape run. Sima Yu looked at the people who were encircling them and shook her head, saying, "Right now, the ones who should run are not us, but you all. Haha, right now you are about to go meet Yama, the king of hell. But you are actually still trying to scare us." Roar. Akai had not even finished speaking when a roar came from inside the tent. After that, spirit beasts started to roar, one after the other, scaring all those who were at the campsite. Chapter 82. Chirp. The bird that had been kidnapped together with Little Roar cried out as well. Its call was too piercing, forcing the men to cover their ears. "Master Mu, what's wrong with these spirit beasts?" The mercenaries had been frightened by the current situation, so Hao Yu Kai had come beside Master Mu to ask in a trembling voice, "It looks like the spirit beasts are going to wake up." When Master Mu finished speaking, he walked towards the tent where the spirit beasts were kept. Even before he pulled open the door curtain, a horde of transformed spirit beasts ran out. Roar. The spirit beasts shouted as they recovered the strength in their bodies as they crammed the entire camp one by one. "Outrageous humans, you actually dare to use this kind of despicable knockout medicine on us in this way? Accept your fates." The saint beast that had recovered its strength looked at the mercenaries as they charged towards the people in the group. Sima Yu did not know when she arrived beside the basket that shut Little Roar inside, but she threw it open and Little Roar immediately pounced on her. "Boo-hoo, Yu, I thought that I would never get to see you again." Little Roar wailed in Sima Yu's embrace. However, she could not see even a single teardrop. "Enough, stop pretending." Sima Yu lifted Little Roar's neck, saying, "Didn't you say that you were going to probe the situation? How did you end up getting caught in this place?" Oh no, my friend is going to go on a rampage. I have to and give it support." Little Roar's pupils spun. When he saw that the bird that was with him had recovered its strength, his body nimbly twisted and threw off Sima Yu's strong grip and flew, landing on the back of that bird. "Big Rock, you are a giant legendary bird. Yet these few men dared to catch you. Let them have a taste of your power." Little Roar shouted as he sat on the body of the 4-winged rock. The men from the group of mercenaries were all completely panic-stricken. All these spirit beasts were brought back by them when they were in a daze. Under normal circumstances, even a few of them would be impossible to defeat. Now that there were so many, furthermore, each and every single one of these spirit beasts were glaring hatefully at them, they would most definitely get torn apart. Hao Yu Kai watched helplessly as the spirit beasts emerged one by one, transforming in front of their very eyes. With fear and trembling, they pulled on Great Master Su's clothes, saying, "Great Master Su, didn't you say that this knockout medicine would at least last 1 to 2 months? Why is it that they're all waking up now?" Great Master Su no longer had the awe-inspiring authority that he had just now. Looking at the 3-meter-long spirit beasts, he gulped. When he heard what Hao Yu Kai said, he replied, "How would I know? Boss, this is definitely the work of those few brats." Akai pointed to Sima Yu and said when he called what he had said to him, "Haha, you all guessed it right." Wei Ziqi and the others came out from inside the tent, holding bittersweet-smelling grass in his hands. Bittersweet-smelling grass. Great Master Su recognized what Wei Ziqi was holding in his hand at a glance. Bittersweet-smelling grass is able to nullify all knockout medicines. No wonder our knockout drug would stop working. Humph. As a Beast Tamer Master from the Beast Tamer Master Guild, you actually would ignore the contract that humans have with the spirit beasts, using knockout medicine to kidnap these spirit beasts. Wei Ziqi yelled, since you know that I am someone from the Beast Tamer Master Guild, you should also know that I am doing things on behalf of the Beast Tamer Master Guild, but you actually dared to cause trouble. Great Master Su heard what Wei Ziqi had said and replied him while sizing him up. Listening carefully to what he said, he was not an average person. Beast Tamer Master Guild? Who knows whether or not the Beast Tamer Master Guild would be willing to be your protective umbrella when they find out what kind of shady business you've been done. I'm afraid that Wei Hong won't let you all off. Wei Ziqi smiled coldly. How are you? How do you know Wei Hong? When Great Master Mu heard the name Wei Hong, he started to feel guilty. There was nobody in the Beast Tamer Master Guild who did not know of the vice president of the guild. However, he always stayed indoors without coming out, so rarely appeared outside and very few people knew him. Hearing Wei Ziqi talk about Wei Hong at this moment revealed clearly that his identity was definitely not simple. Wei Hong is my great-uncle. I am a member of the Wei clan. Wei Ziqi said proudly, a member of Wei clan. Great Master Su's eyes were open wide in shock. He had almost killed a member of the Wei clan. Ziqi, why are you wasting words on him? These spirit beasts are almost all completely recovered. If we don't leave this place, we'll also be implicated, Fatty Chu reminded him from the side. The spirit beasts who had just awakened from their stupor were extremely irritable. What they wanted most now, towards the humans who had plotted towards their capture, to let them feel their wrath. Now that they were able to see the humans who had hurt them, they were unable to hold back. Roar! The spirit beasts roared towards them before charging towards the mercenaries. Wei Ziqi and the others had already left far away long ago. Rushing quickly to an ancient tree far away, you were already here but you didn't call out to us. Fatty Chu saw that Sima Yu and the other four were already sitting down on the branches of the large tree and complained, we saw that you all were talking to them so happily that we didn't want to disturb you. Bei Gong Tang jested in a rare expression of humor. You all did it on purpose. Fatty Chu sat on the branches as he complained in a small voice, those spirit beasts have all become so irritable, how come Little Roar is unaffected? Wei Ziqi asked when he observed Little Roar, who was hopping and jumping while giving commands on the back on that four-winged rock. Sima Yu shrugged, saying, I don't know either. Whoa. Those spirit beasts are truly malicious. Everyone looked towards the direction that Sima Yu was looking in and saw a black leopard just happened to split Amo in half, filling the entire compound with blood. The bittersweet-smelling grass by itself would already make the spirit beasts violent. Adding on to that the fact that they have enmity with them, having hatred in their hearts, it's natural that their hands would be so heavy. Ouyang Fei said with an unchanging face. Sima Yu and Bei Gong Tang didn't have that much feelings towards the scene that was taking place. Those men had tried to kill them to silence them earlier and even violated the contract. So it could be considered their own fault for having this kind of outcome. Fatty Chu and Wei Ziqi had never seen such a bloodbath, so seeing that the whole ground was flowing with blood caused them to involuntarily turn their heads away. Although that group of mercenaries had about 30 over men, when compared to those 20 over spirit beasts, they paled in comparison in battle strength. Those few men had been wiped out by those spirit beasts very quickly. The spirit beasts who were relatively weaker would come and fight together after killing off the men. Little Roar. Sima Yu suddenly shouted. Little Roar glanced at her, then cleared his throat, suddenly lifting his head to roar. Roar. It was strange even as one said it. The spirit beasts, who had initially been incomparably rash and ready to battle, all completely quieted down, creeping on the ground, completely different from how it was just now. Sima Yu jumped down from the branch and directly walked over to where Little Roar and the rest were, leaving behind the few of them who stared at her. While completely stunned, little brother Sima Yu, what spirit beast is that? Xing Wei asked while staring blankly. We have never seen one that looks like it, Fatty Chu said. However, even if we saw one before, we wouldn't necessarily be able to recognize it. Being able to cause the other spirit beasts to acquiesce to it is not something that just any ordinary spirit beast can do. Wei Ziqi shook his head while saying, in any case, it's a damn awesome spirit beast. Fatty Chu said with pride, as if Little Roar was his own contracted spirit beast. Revolting. Ouyang Fei walked past Fatty Chu and could not help but roll his eyes at him. Sima Yu came to the campsite from earlier, where the corpses were all strewn about on the ground. She looked at Little Roar's friend, the four-winged rock, and realized that its eyes still contained the scarlet after effects. Chapter 83. Yu. Little Roar looked proudly at Sima Yu. His little body compared to the four-winged rock resembled the contrast between a mouse and an elephant. Sima Yu saw the cockiness in Little Roar's eyes and said, "Let them all leave." "Oh." Little Roar sounded in reply before roaring towards the spirit beasts. Those spirit beasts left successively, leaving behind four-winged rock and himself. "It doesn't want to return?" Sima Yu asked as she cast a glance at the four-winged rock. Little Roar climbed down from the four-winged rock's back and came to plop on her head, saying, "Big Rock is my friend. He will accompany me everywhere. Of course he won't leave." When Sima Yu heard it, she immediately thought of that time where it had cheated Yu Guang into coming into a contract with her. Could it be that this four-winged rock would be tricked as well? When Little Roar felt that she was harboring some suspicions towards him, he protested in his heart, "When did I deceive others? Yu Guang and Big Rock all voluntarily followed me, okay? Don't group me in with people like you who have a belly full of evil tricks." When she heard that Little Roar said in his heart that she had a belly full of evil tricks, Sima Yu immediately threw Little Roar down from the top of her head before she had even had the chance to reprimand him. She saw that four-winged rock transformed itself and flew towards her. He landed on her shoulder as he closed his eyes, falling asleep when she felt that the little bird was falling off her shoulder. Sima Yu threw Little Roar away as she stretched forth her hands to catch the little bird. "Yu, you're so biased." Little Roar roared. Sima Yu rolled her eyes at it before looking at the little bird in the palm of her hand, saying, "How come it fainted?" Wei Ziqi walked over and said, "It's possible that the knockout medicine from just now is the cause of this." Qing Wei cupped his fists towards them, saying, "Qing Wei thanks the few of you for your benevolence in rescuing me today. In the future, if you have anything that you need, Wuya, please immediately ask. 10,000 deaths would not stop Wuya from coming to help." Big Brother Qing's words are too serious. Wei Ziqi raised up his pair of hands, saying, "However, why would Big Brother Qing still be here in the Pu Luo mountain range? I will tell you these things later. We should leave this place first," Qing Wei said. Being an experienced mercenary, he had been to the Pu Luo mountain range all year round, and he knew that the smell of blood would definitely attract other spirit beasts. The five of them quickly left the camp as Qing Wei explained what he was doing here while they traveled. It turns out that they had already completed the previous mission 10 days after entering the mountain. After that, their group received a second mission, which was to bring a group from a large family clan into the inner regions. They were unwilling at first. After all, the inner regions were really too dangerous. However, the men from that clan said that the Pu Luo mountain range would be safe during this period of time because all the spirit beasts would have been attracted away, added on to the fact that the remuneration was also generous. Qin Wuya's dad agreed, but they would only bring the two of them whose strengths were greater. Furthermore, Qing Wuya appeared as if he really wanted to go and take a look at the inner regions. After he finished talking about himself, Qing Wuya said, "Why are you all still here in the mountain? Furthermore, you are even in the inner regions. Even though it's relatively safer now, this may not always be the case. We're just here to participate in the fun," Wei Ziqi said, just now looking at the way Big Brother Qing was acting. "It appears that you're acquainted with those mercenaries?" "Yeah, that's the group that always sets itself against the Green Ridge mercenaries. They're called the Black Bear mercenaries, although their boss, Hao Kai, is pretty strong. His personality is bad. He always brings his group to steal others' business, and he has done no small amount of bad things. I never expected that this time. It turns out that he was doing things on behalf of the Beast Tamer Master Guild." Qing Wei said, "Are you acquainted with Master Mu?" Wei Ziqi asked, "I know him. He's a Beast Master Tamer from Salt City's Beast Master Tamer Guild. I've heard that his personality is not that great either. However, he also wouldn't do this kind of things. I think he is not the kind of person who would do this kind of things. If he dared to do this kind of things, it means that the Mercenary Guild has a great backer. Possibly it could be that the guild was the one who incited them to do this." Wei Ziqi said, "Once I go back, I will definitely tell these things to my great uncle." When Qing Wei heard what Wei Ziqi had said, he immediately knew what his identity was. Initially, he merely guessed that he was not an ordinary person, but he never expected that he would actually belong to the aristocratic family of Beast Tamer Masters. They headed towards the mountain peak where the golden snake fruit was and reached the campsite in a day. Qingwei invited them to go to the campsite together. However, Sima Yu politely turned him down. If they were together with others, it would be troublesome to act when the time came. Initially, Qingwei had been quite worried about them. However, since they did not agree, he didn't force them. He just told them to immediately look for him if they encountered any trouble. Sima Yu and the others readily promised before Qingwei left. Seeing that the mountain valley had an influx of people and spirit beasts, Fatty Chu held onto Sima Yu's shoulders and said, "Yu, a lot of people have come these 2 days." Seeing the mountain filled with people and spirit beasts, Sima Yu and Bei Gongtang's eyes were filled with a mysterious and imposing light. There's still a day and a night before the golden snake fruit ripens. Let's first go and rest nearby, Sima Yu suggested. The few of them found an area that was relatively more concealed, but where they were still able to observe the situation below because the space was too small. Although it was better at concealing them, nobody occupied the space. While waiting for the golden snake fruit to mature, Sima Yu wanted to go to another place to keep away from Wei Ziqi and the rest. Conveniently, she scanned her surroundings and saw that nobody was there, so she called out Little Roar and stared at him as she asked, "What's up with the four-winged rock? Talking about Little Rock?" Little Roar shrunk his neck and replied, "Because I saw that you wanted to seize the golden snake fruit. This little rock can fly, so when the time comes, he can fly us across. That's why you tricked him into coming?" Sima Yu said, "Sai Yu, the spirit beast is willing to follow you is a good thing, you know." Little Roar said, "Of course I would also like to have more and more spirit beasts, but if you trick others, when the time comes that they recover their senses, what will you do when they come to settle the debt?" Sima Yu stretched forth a little finger to prod Little Roar's head. "This four-winged rock's rank isn't low, right? When the time comes and it goes crazy, are you able to defeat it? With Big Brother Crimson Flame around, which spirit beast dares to act rashly in front of you?" Little Roar muttered softly, "What did you say?" Sima Yu carried Little Roar as she asked, "Nothing." Little Roar recalled that Crimson Flame had said not to talk about its situation and hurriedly denied it. He went back to the topic and said, "In any case, Little Rock won't harm you, so you can rest assured. But right now, the number of contracts that I can have is maxed out. I can't form a contract with it." Sima Yu said, "No problem, just let it stay where Little Spirit is. When you are able to form a contract with him, then do it." Little Roar said nonchalantly, "Even though he's a 9th-ranked Saint Beast, he carries the blood of the ancient Big Rock in its body. Once its bloodline awakes, he would be a decent spirit beast." When Sima Yu heard what Little Roar had said, the corner of her mouth curved into a smile. What was a 9th-ranked Saint Beast? It was a spirit beast that was only one step away from breaking into the divine ranks, okay? It was equivalent to the existence of a spirit emperor. If Sima Lai wanted to fight it, the winner and loser would be unknown. How did Little Roar end up speaking of it as if it was some kind of cabbage? Chapter 84. You said that the four-winged rock has the blood of the ancient Big Rock, so what kind of spirit beast is that ancient Big Rock? Little Roar rolled his eyes at her as if he was a city person looking at a bumpkin. What spirit beast? That's a saint beast. Little Roar said, "In the ancient days, it was stronger than us divine roars. Don't you all have a saying that goes, a big rock spreads its wings over 90,000 miles? Although this might sound exaggerated, however, the speed is not something that ordinary rock-type Saint birds can match up to. Furthermore, its battle strength is steady. If Little Rock was able to awaken his bloodline, he would be considered a decent helper." Sima Yu looked at the little bird in her hand and found it hard to imagine that that guy would actually be a spirit beast that had the bloodline of the ancient Saint Beast. "Let me also tell you that although Little Rock might not look like much, but together with my discerning eyes, even if his bloodline does not awaken, once he grows up, he will be the king of the four-winged rocks. To the best of my knowledge, it has been a long time since the king of the four-winged rocks appeared." Little Roar said mysteriously, hearing that this little bird that had slept for an entire day and night actually had this kind of identity. Sima Yu's heart was even more confused. How did Little Roar actually manage to con this spirit beast over? Why is he still asleep? I think that it's the effects of the knockout medicine from the previous time. Sima Yu thought about four-winged rock's scarlet eyes that she had seen the last time. Perhaps it really had something to do with it. Then if he continues sleeping like this, when the golden snake fruit ripens, it won't be able to help with anything. Sima Yu said helplessly, he's woken up." Little Roar said happily, for Winged Rock was a helping hand that he had specially brought over. If it continued to sleep, wouldn't he have looked for it for nothing? As a result, he was ecstatic when he felt the four-winged rock wake up. Four-winged rock's tightly shut eyes began to openly slowly when he saw everyone. His hazy eyes immediately sharpened as the feathers on his back all stood on edge. It was only when he recognized Sima Yuyu that his body began to relax. "You've woken up?" Sima Yuyu asked. "Thank you for saving us," Four-winged rock said as he flapped his wings. "I just happened to, in passing," Sima Yuyu said. "How are you now?" "I'm fine," Four-winged rock said. "Do you want to form a contract with me now?" "Huh?" Sima Yuyu was stunned as she did not think that Four-winged rock would be so direct. She shook her head, saying, "I'm unable to form a contract with you now. I'm already reached my limit on the number of spirit beasts I can contract. And I'm unable to contract more spirit beasts right now." "Oh," Four-winged rock nodded his head calmly, saying, "Little Roar said that you have an area in which you can cultivate, and he said that if you can't form a contract with me, I can go in there to cultivate, and once you are able to form a contract, then form a contract with me." Sima Yuyu looked at Four-winged rock. "You really are willing to follow me?" "Yes," Four-winged rock nodded. "Why?" Sima Yuyu didn't understand. "Little Roar's bloodline is superior to mine, and he says that there is a future to follow you. I believe his words," Four-winged rock said seriously. Sima Yuyu was inexplicably shocked by his reply. It turns out that this guy didn't follow her because of her, but because of Little Roar. With a single thought, Little Roar and Four-winged rock were thrown into the spirit pearl. Looking at this kind of partner caused her eyes to hurt. What the eyes didn't see, the heart wouldn't agonize over. The scene in front of Four-winged rock changed in a moment, and it shocked him. "This is Yuyu's territory. You can randomly choose an area to go and cultivate," Little Roar said smugly. Little Spirit emerged from thin air as he looked at Four-winged rock and said, "This is my world, and it is also Master's area, since you have entered. In the future you will be Master's contracted spirit beast. Yes, even though you haven't entered a contract," Little Roar. "Master said to ask you to bring Little Rock for a stroll around here and to take care of him." After he finished speaking, he disappeared, leaving behind Four-winged rock, who was still stunned. Little Roar flew over, saying, "How is it? I didn't lie to you, right?" Little Rock nodded his head fervently, saying, "This is really too magical. There actually exists a place like this that has spiritual chi so many times denser than outside. Alright, I'll bring you for a tour now. There are some areas that you can't enter without permission, or else you will get upset." When Little Roar finished speaking, he brought Little Rock for a tour around the spirit pearl. Sima Yu slowly walked over to where Wei Ziqi and the others were. Because the area was too small, they had no way of setting up their tents. The four of them directly sat on top of a large boulder to chat. You were actually gone for so long. Could it be that you've taken a nice dump such that your stomach is all empty now?" Fatty Chu laughed as he teased Sima. Yu smiled and didn't answer him. Everyone realized that the little bird that was initially in his embrace was gone and thought that he had left after he had woken up. Sima Yu walked over and sat beside them. This boulder was really decent. It was just big enough to accommodate the five of them. Furthermore, they just had to stick their necks out a bit to be able to see the situation that was happening below. There's still a day left before the golden snake fruit ripens. Right now, there's even more spirit beasts below. Today, more than a few higher-ranked spirit beasts have come as well, Wei Ziqi said. "I have never ever seen this kind of display of forces. My heart is beating, going be a thump, you know." Fatty Chu said as he patted his chest with exaggeration. "If your heart didn't beat, then you'd be dead," Ouyang Fei said. Eft. They never expected that Ouyang Fei would say this kind of things, and everyone's spirits were lifted. "Someone's coming," Bei Gong alerted them. Everyone quieted down, with a large shrub blocking them. The people who were walking outside didn't see them. "Dad, I suspect that younger brother has really been killed by the people from the Sima clan." Sima heard the person who was talking and didn't expect that it would be someone she recognized. Nalan He and Nalan Lan walked past the forest, but they didn't realize the people behind the large shrub laner. "Chair has only been gone for a short while. Why are you so sure that he's been killed by the people from the Sima clan?" Nalan He asked. "Is there something you're hiding from me?" Nalan Lan bit her lip as her eyes flashed with hints of a struggle in the end. Her feelings of worry took priority, and she said, "Dad, during the morning of the day he disappeared, he came to find me and told me that the trash of the Sima family had returned home. He said that he would return to the academy in the morning, and so he actually brought a few imperial bodyguards to settle the score with him and to get rid of him quietly. However, I never expected that he never returned and completely disappeared, not even leaving a corpse behind. You tell me, aside from getting killed by Sima Yu, what other explanation could there be? Nonsense. Nalan, he chastised, you just got expelled from the academy. Why did you go and pick another fight? Dad, it wasn't me who asked younger brother to go at that time. I also advised him, but he wouldn't listen to me. Nalan Lan said aggrievedly. Dad, this isn't important right now. Younger brother has already been missing for more than a month. Should we go and ask the Sima clan, Humph? If the Sima clan really dared to kill my son, the Nalan clan would never be able to coexist with them. Nalan, he ground his teeth as he said, wait until we settle the issue with the golden snake fruit, then we'll go to the Sima clan when we go back. When the two of them finished speaking, Sima Yu's 5-man team all let out a long breath. Sima Yu thought of how they had said they would go look for trouble at the Sima clan and raised her head to find that everyone was looking at her. Tell us, was it you? Chapter 85. Sima Yu rubbed her nose and said a sentence that even she didn't believe. Cough cough, I'm such a pure and innocent person. How could I have done something like this? Little Roar and the others were in the spirit pearl when they heard what Sima Yu said. They all rolled their eyes. Wei Ziqi and the others all gave Sima Yu a look that showed they knew he was lying to himself and to others. If they didn't know what his true strength was, they would have believed him. However, after the whole episode at Pu Luo mountain range, they knew that he was definitely not weaker than them and was actually even stronger. This sentence could not even convince the person who said it, much less convince them. Regardless of whether or not you did it, hearing what Nalan Lan and the other one said, this time they will go to your Sima clan to look for trouble, Fatty Chu said a bit worriedly. He never used to care about whatever happened between the Sima clan and the Nalan clan, but now that he had taken Sima Yu as a brother, he would naturally take his burdens upon his own shoulders. The Nalan clan has always been nursing a grudge against you because of the previous time where you caused Nalan Lan to be expelled. I heard that they've been increasing pressure on your clan these few months. If not for the fact that General Sima had ties with the army, I think that they would have directly struck against you, Wei Ziqi said. Although that Nalan Chi is a bit stupid and incompetent, he is the apple of Nalan He's eye. If he knew that he was killed by you, he would be even more heavy-handed and intense. She didn't refute anything that Wei Ziqi had said about her killing Nalan Chi, and she had already thought about all his worries. Since he talked about his troubles about going to find grandfather, then why don't we push the inconvenience of killing onto the source? Hearing that Sima Yu spoke without any hesitation, their hearts were shocked. Tsk, and you just said that you were a pure and innocent person, but now you say these kind of words so easily. Fatty Chu unveiled her mask. Sima Yu rolled her eyes at him, saying, my purity and innocence depends on the receiving party. A dragon has reverse scales that will anger it if you touch it. Everyone has their own areas you can't mess around with. If anyone dares to mess with my family, I, Sima Yu, will definitely not let them off easily. The four of them were moved by what Sima Yu said. A dragon has reverse scales that you can't touch. Weren't they the same? Roar, an angry roar sounded from the mountain valley, scaring everyone on the mountain who was waiting for the golden snake fruit to ripen. What happened? No idea. Why would the divine beast suddenly rage? It seems like someone got close to the golden snake fruit. It was a spirit beast, my goodness, it was a 9th-ranked saint beast. They're fighting. Sima Yu and the others stood up and lay on the boulder, facing the mountain valley. They really did see two spirit beasts fighting, and it ended up involving the other spirit beasts nearby, scaring them into retreating behind quite a bit. That saint beast is really powerful. It can actually battle a divine beast. Fatty Chu clicked his tongue in astonishment as he watched the battle down below. That's because its bloodline is slightly higher than the saint beasts. Wei Ziqi said, spirit beasts of a certain bloodline can eliminate the pressure that comes from some higher ranked. However, whether or not it will be able to attain victory will depend on their individual strengths. That divine beast is concealing its power. The saint beast is going to lose. Bei Gongtang said. The others didn't know how Bei Gongtang knew this. However, not long after she finished speaking, that saint beast lay beaten on the ground. Each breath it took was shallow, as were the breaths it released. That full ape has actually reached the level of 2nd-ranked divine beast. The people who were watching were completely shocked by the strength that the spirit beast had revealed and were at a loss. General, it's unexpected that the full ape would actually be a divine beast at 2nd rank. Now the difficulty in seizing the golden snake fruit will be increased many times. Actually, a rank 1 divine beast strength was not that different from a rank 2 spirit saint. Adding on to that the help of a few more men, it was still possible for Sima Lai to obtain that golden snake fruit, however. Now that this full ape increased its rank to a 2nd ranked divine beast, its battle strength was comparable to a 4th ranked spirit saint and could be considered as being stronger than him by 2 ranks. Wanting to surpass it became completely uncertain in a short moment. Admittedly, this golden snake fruit is really enticing, but this full ape actually secretly increased in rank, passed down the command to play by ear and not to risk one's life to be stubborn. Sima Lai saw Nalan clan's camp that was not too far away from his. Nalan, he was over there having a discussion, and he was also talking about what just happened. The boulder that Sima Yu was hiding behind was not too far away from the Sima clan's campsite. When she heard what Sima Lai said, her heart full of worry finally calmed down. She was afraid that Sima Lai would be muddle-headed over this treasure and would stubbornly press on in fighting with the full ape for the golden snake fruit. Now that she knew he did not think this way, she felt relieved. However, she never expected that their desire for the golden snake fruit would be taken by others as people who did not know their own strength. Night gradually arrived, and the moon this night was exceptionally bright. It was like a jade plate, hanging up in the sky, like a silver blanket across the mountain valley. Perhaps it was because it could feel that the golden snake fruit was about to ripen. The spirit beasts as well as the people in the mountain valley did not rest. Everyone was anxiously paying attention to the situation regarding the golden snake fruit. Sima Yu anxiously stared at the golden snake fruit tree because she was slightly more informed about it than others. The parts that she were focusing on were slightly different. Most people only saw that the golden snake fruit was absorbing the moonlight and that it had yet to turn completely golden as it slowly matured. However, her focus was on the golden snake fruit tree. The golden snake fruit tree was giving off a faint white glow, spreading out like a thin silver thread under the mask of the moonlight. Those who did not look carefully would not be able to notice it at all. Is that the gas that allows one's soul to recover? Sima Yu saw the full ape sit beside the golden snake fruit as it worked hard to breathe in the gas that was emitted by the golden snake fruit. Looking at it, the fact that it was able to break through to the 2nd ranked divine beast rank was not unrelated to this gas. In the later half of the night, when everyone was a little bit sleepy, Mo Sha suddenly voiced out, "The golden snake fruit is going to ripen." Sima Yu had always been watching the golden snake fruit tree and realized by herself that there were some changes to the golden snake fruit. Those 7 fruits had already turned yellow and were giving off a rich fragrance, causing the spirit beasts on site to go crazy. Those spirit beasts charged towards the overhanging cliff, wanting to take the fruit. However, they realized that it was wrapped in a burst of white light, barricading it from everyone's touch. Still missing the final part. Mo Sha said, "The golden snake fruit has matured. Everyone quickly go take it." It was unknown who shouted this from the mountain, as everyone's state of mind was immediately thrown into disarray in a moment. They completely disregarded the horde of spirit beasts, directly flying towards the golden snake fruit. The spirit masters who reached the rank of spirit king were able to fly in the air. It seemed that each and every single one of these were experts whose powers were ranked above spirit king. Those spirit masters who had directly flown over to the overhanging cliff were swatted down by the strong gust of wind that came from a swat by the full ape, sending more than a few people flying. Those who fell on the ground were besieged by the spirit beasts from all sides, beast and beast, man and man. Everyone was fighting against everyone, turning the entire mountain valley into a scene of chaos. Sima Yu saw that Sima Lai was also flying towards the full ape and took out a bottle of medicine powder and placed it in Bei Gongtang's hand. She said, "I'm going to snatch the golden snake fruit. Help me to scatter this on the people from the Nalan clan. If I'm able to snatch the golden snake fruit, I will definitely give you a share." Chapter 86. Bei Gongtang looked at Sima Yu and said, "You want to go by yourself? You've also seen the situation below. If we all go down, I'm afraid that will add on to the number of people who'll end up in between the teeth of these spirit beasts." Sima Yu said, "I have an idea on how to secretly sneak in there, but I have no way of bringing you all along with me. Ziqi, Ouyang, Fatty, the 3 of you have to be proper protectors of the flower. After you have scattered the medicinal powder onto the bodies of the people from the Nalan clan, retreat immediately. We will meet in Salt City in 2 days. How can we let you go alone?" Bei Gongtang didn't want to take the pill bottle. "We haven't finished doing our things. I won't take my life as a joke. Sima Yu stuffed the pill bottle into Bei Gong Tang's hand and said, "Trust me, I will bring the golden snake fruit back." After she finished speaking, she quickly flashed out from behind the shrub and dashed towards the bottom of the mountain. "We should leave as well," Ouyang Fei said. "He's not someone who only talks big. Since he said that he has a way, it must be the truth. If we go, we may only drag him down." Wei Ziqi, Fatty Chu and the gang did not refute what Ouyang Fei said because it was the truth. They always felt that they were excellent amongst their peers and had never thought a day would come that they would drag someone else down. Bei Gong Tang watched as Sima Yu dashed down the mountain, disappearing completely amongst the crowd of spirit beasts, and could not help but feel worry in her heart. How long has it been since she felt worry for another person? She clutched the pill bottle tightly in her hand and forced down her worry, saying, "You all wait for me here. They'll go and scatter this onto the bodies of the people from the Nalan clan." After she said this, she was going to leave, but she was pulled to a stop by Ouyang Fei. "We'll go together." Bei Gong Tang saw the look of resolution in his gaze and nodded. "We don't have to scatter this onto Nalan He's body. There will definitely still be people at the Nalan clan's campsite, so we'll scatter this onto this inside of their tent before leaving." Wei Ziqi said, "It's too chaotic here now. The earlier we leave, the better. Let's go." "Wait up." Fatty Chu pulled everyone to a stop as he took out 4 masks from his interspatial ring and handed it to everyone, saying, "In order to avoid revealing our identities, I tell it'll be better for us to put these on." "Fatty, why would you have these masks?" Wei Ziqi asked. "You gave them to me." Fatty Chu put on the face mask as he took the initiative to walk out. Ouyang Fei and the 3 of them wordlessly put on the face mask. Was this something that Sima Yu had prepared much earlier in order for him to do some misdeeds? "Let us move out as well." The 3 of them put on the face masks as they followed Fatty Chu and walked towards the Nalan clan's tent. Because they didn't know how many people still remained at the Nalan clan's campsite, Bei Gong Tang and the others scattered the medicinal powder around the inside of the tent before leaving. They didn't see who was inside the tent at all. Nalan Lan was outside, looking at the situation outside, and was so afraid that her face was paper white, and she charged right back into the tent because she was still so traumatized. She didn't realize that there was an additional faint fragrance within the tent. After their plans had gone smoothly, Wei Ziqi and the 4 of them began to run off in another direction on the mountain. They didn't run far when they saw Ye Guang in front waiting for them. "Master told me to bring you all back." Ye Guang revealed himself as he told Wei Ziqi and the others the inner areas were currently chaotic. If they met any crazy spirit beasts, as a saint-ranked beast, Ye Guang would be stronger than those beasts by quite a bit. Wei Ziqi and the others did not refuse as they directly climbed onto Ye Guang's back, allowing him to carry them as he ran towards the outer regions. Bei Gong Tang sat right at the back and she turned her head around to look at the mountain valley that was illuminated by the battles taking place, looking slightly as if she was holding herself back. Sima Yu took out and wore a face mask the moment she came out from behind the boulder and then ran towards the bottom of the mountain. During the moment in which she entered the horde of spirit beasts, the aura she released changed unexpectedly. It was as if her entire person's presence suddenly disappeared. Even if she walked past those people and spirit beasts, they didn't notice her. As a result, she quickly passed by the horde of spirit beasts and came to the bottom of the overhanging cliff, flying towards the side of the golden snake fruit in a single leap. "Wow. I never thought that I would ever be able to experience the feeling of flying." Sima Yu sighed to Mo Sha the moment she landed. Mo Sha didn't reply her, saying, "As you near the golden snake fruit, the strength that I poured into your body will disappear when that time comes. You can only depend on yourself to pick that golden snake fruit. Furthermore, you have to be quick, or else, if the people or spirit beasts downstairs realize it, I don't have to tell you what the consequences will be." "I understand." Sima Yu nodded. There were so many powerful spirit beasts and experts down below. If they were to take any action against her once she dug out the golden snake fruit tree, even if she didn't die, she would still walk around the gates of death. "If you're prepared, they'll retract my strength." Once Mo Sha finished speaking, Sima Yu felt the strength that was just poured into her own body disappeared, along with the live feeling. She took out the trowel that she usually used to dig out weeds within the spirit pearl as she squatted beside the golden snake fruit and began to cautiously dig out the golden snake fruit. This golden snake fruit tree was shorter than 50 over centimeters in height, but its roots were not small. In order to minimize the damage done to the golden snake fruit tree, she tried hard to dig the roots out entirely. Just as she was going to complete it, an angry roar sounded from the air. Roar. The full ape that was battling Sima Yu felt that someone was touching the golden snake fruit, and although it was initially at an advantage and was relentlessly pursuing Sima Lai, it turned around and charged towards Sima Yu at a high speed. Sima Lai had battled a few rounds with the full ape and was preparing to withdraw. However, the full ape did not give him any opportunity to escape. Seeing the full ape leave, Sima Lai seized the opportunity to fly to a neighboring mountain peak and came beside the golden snake fruit tree as he wanted to see what it was that actually avoided the detection of so many people and spirit beasts. Other people also noticed the situation that was occurring on the overhanging cliff and headed towards the golden snake fruit tree one after the other. They saw someone wearing a face mask and a large mantle squatting there digging up the golden snake fruit. Who is that? Nobody could think of anyone they had met these few days that looked like this person. Even upon close scrutiny, they could not figure out this person's identity. Sima Yu felt that the full ape was charging towards her but saw that a bit of roots still remained in the dirt. She hardened her heart and immediately pulled up the golden snake fruit tree and threw it into her spirit pearl. When the golden snake fruit tree disappeared, Emo Sha's power bubbled up in her body once again. Before she was prepared, the full ape had rushed over and she had no choice but to receive one of its blows. Pff. Sima Yu was sent flying by a single punch by the full ape and spat out a fresh spray of blood, eventually flipping her body and flying in the air. It was only at this time that everyone could see her figure clearly and saw that it was clearly slender and thin. However, this was unable to conceal the aura that was emanating from her body. Spirit paragon? Sima Lai said uncertainly, Master, when did a spirit paragon appear on our continent? It's not a real spirit paragon. Her aura is clearly superficial and it's obvious that it's not her real strength. Daring human, you actually dare to steal my golden snake fruit. The full ape saw that even the golden snake fruit tree had been uprooted and was incomparably angry. Furthermore, she had not died even after receiving its punch, causing him to become even more furious. Its body suddenly rose up as it launched its large fist towards Sima Yu once again. Chapter 87. Emo Sha could feel the violent strength that came from the area where the strong wind was and brought Sima Yu to retreat backwards in the air a few tens of meters in order to avoid the explosive punch from the full ape. Hey, I say, didn't you say that you were very powerful? How come you can't even defeat this monkey now? Sima Yu asked as she watched Emo Sha bring her into hiding. My soul is currently unsteady and I can't display my power, Emo Sha said. Furthermore, I was not ready to receive its punch just now. Meeting it head on injured me a bit. Alright then. Since we can't defeat it, we should escape. We'd be in trouble if other people wanted to snatch it from me as well. After she finished speaking, Sima Yu called Little Rock out from the spirit pearl. He directly appeared and she flipped her body and landed on his back. Little monkey, I want play with you today. Sima Yu towered above the full ape and looked down on it. She saw that it was violent, angry, and filled with resentment. She suddenly felt some kind of reluctance. The treasure that it had protected a few thousand years ago was uprooted just like this. Wasn't this going too far? Her mind sped up a few seconds as she took a golden snake fruit and threw it to the full ape, saying, Little monkey, you guarded it for such a long time, it'll give you a bit of the share. The full ape caught the golden snake fruit that Sima Yu had thrown over and confirmed it. It raised its head and saw that she had already left while sitting on Little Rock. It was a bit confused in its heart. It initially thought that it would never be able to retrieve the golden snake fruit today. It never expected that this person would actually give it one, and it was extremely unexpected. However, it just needed a single golden snake fruit because it never thought of relying on this to increase its strength. It only wanted to stimulate and awaken its bloodline in its body. It was a good thing that this human did not snatch away the entirety of the golden snake fruit, leaving it with some hope. Otherwise, even if it had to self-destruct, it would drag her down with it. Thinking up to this point, the pure heart of the full ape was filled with gratitude towards Sima Yu. If she found out about it, she would definitely scold it for being foolish. The full ape ate the golden snake fruit and flew towards another direction, leaving behind a mountain full of people and spirit beasts. Everyone had yet to react when both thieving parties of the golden snake fruit left. The mountain valley no longer had the aura of the golden snake fruit, and those spirit beasts also slowly came back to their senses. A few of the higher rank ones took the initiative to leave first. Family leader, is the golden snake fruit just gone like this? Nalan family's guard came beside Nalan. The both of them felt like they were in a dream. They were just battling others for the sake of the golden snake fruit, but their eyes merely left it for a moment before it was gone. If not, even if that person wasn't a spirit parian, it would at least be the rank of a spirit emperor. How else would she be able to use a secret method to increase her strength to the level of a spirit paragon? This kind of person also has a flying spirit beast by her side. Do you want to go and snatch it from her? Nalan thought that his trip here was completely wasted and had a raging inferno in his heart and vented it all on the Imperial bodyguard. Your subordinate doesn't dare. The guard immediately cupped his hands and said, go back and pack up. Let's leave this mountain valley first. Nalan commanded. Yes, family leader. Nalan clan's people moved out quickly while the others also left the mountain peak successively. Although it wasn't safe to travel along at night, if they remained here, it was unknown whether or not the beasts below would go crazy. If they attacked them, it would spell trouble. There were only two people who didn't move. One of them was Sima Lai while the other was Qingwuya. Sima Lai stood on the mountain peak, watching the direction in which Sima Yu had left. He had the feeling that that person's silhouette was somewhat familiar. However, he could not remember where he had seen it. He thought for a long time, but he never thought that person would be his granddaughter that he had brought up since she was young. However, Qingwuya recognized that it was Sima Yu. When he first saw the four-winged rock, he thought that it was just a coincidence. This guy who stole the golden snake fruit just happened to possess a four-winged rock. However, when he recognized that the little white dot sitting on the head on the four-winged rock was Little Roar, he was certain that person was Sima Yu. However, he had no intentions on revealing this piece of news. It counted as his repayment to Sima Yu for saving his life. When he heard his father shout for her, he turned around and left with them. On the other hand, Sima Lai initially saw Little Roar as well. However, he had never seen the four-winged rock before and thought that it was some white feathers on the four-winged rock's forehead. As a result, he had missed the chance to recognize Sima Yu. General, that person, we are unable to defeat her right now. After the Imperial bodyguard came beside Sima Lai and saw that he was gazing towards the direction that Sima Yu had left, he thought that Sima Lai was still unresigned. I know, Sima Lai said, get everyone to pack their things and leave. Yes, General, very quickly. The noisy mountain valley quieted down, leaving behind only the carcasses of the spirit beasts who had died in the battle. It was not that the people who had left did not entertain thoughts of taking away the dead bodies. However, these spirit beasts had always hated it when humans snatched away the dead bodies. Although it wasn't their own species, they would not permit it under these circumstances. There were so many spirit beasts right now that although these people wanted to bring them back with them, they still left. Sima Yu sat on Little Rock as they flew towards the outer region, sitting on his back and looking down. The view as the moon shone down on the Pu Luo mountain range was really not bad. After leaving the mountain valley by quite a distance, Mo Sha took back his power, saying, I'm going back. My soul has been unstable this entire time and I've even sustained injuries. I won't be able to lend you my power again in the near future. Hearing that, Mo Sha's voice was a bit weak. Sima Yu asked worriedly, how are you feeling? Is it serious? It's nothing, I just need to absorb the gas from the golden snake fruit tree for a while and it'll be fine, Mo Sha said. The next time I come out, there won't be this kind of circumstance anymore. In that case, do you want to eat a golden snake fruit? Sima Yu asked. No need, I can't eat it anyway. My current soul can't handle the explosive energy from the golden snake fruit at all, Mo Sha said. If you really want me to recover quicker, it's not like there's no method. What method? Alchemy, Mo Sha said. As long as you are able to refine some pills that can benefit the soul, I will be able to recover faster. How am I supposed to refine dark pills? Sima Yu was initially excited when she heard that there was a way, but was discouraged when she heard him talk about dark pills. Have you forgotten about your physique? Mo Sha said. Light devil's body? Sima Yu didn't understand. What did this have to do with refining dark pills? People who have the devil's physique are able to absorb dark spiritual chi. As long as you possess dark spiritual chi, when you are refining pills, just add it in and you will be able to concoct dark pills, Mo Sha explained. Ha! I can absorb dark spiritual chi? Sima Yu said with surprise. Then what rank of pills will be of use to you? At the very least it must be 6th rank, Emosha said. Right now you are only able to refine pills at rank 1. It's still too early for you to refine pills that will be of use to me. Sima Yuyu touched her nose, saying, "This is the hidden reason why you were willing to come out and teach me how to refine pills, right?" Shed said it earlier. At that time, when she had felt that she was of a light devil's body, she was wondering why he was so willing to reveal the fact that they had a contract with each other. He was even passionately teaching her alchemy. It turns out that he was just thinking that she would be able to refine some dark pills that would be useful to him in the future. Chapter 88. Emosha didn't deny it because his primary objective for teaching her alchemy really was because he had this goal in mind. Going back, news about the person who stole the golden snake fruit possessing a 4-winged rock will spread very quickly. It's best for you to keep him and go back on your own. In any case, with your current level of strength, nobody will suspect you. Emosha entered the spirit peel after speaking and came beside the golden snake fruit tree. Little Spirit already planted the golden snake fruit tree into a large flower pot. Although there was the situation where it just changed its soil, the golden snake fruit did not suffer much damage. I specially planted it in this flower pot. Little Spirit appeared beside Emosha and said, "This needs to absorb moonlight at night in order to change it into strength, so this will be more convenient when she wants to take it out in the future." Your idea is not bad." Emosha nodded in approval as his soul floated beside the golden snake fruit tree and sat down as he closed his eyes and began his meditation. When Little Spirit saw this, he disappeared as wordlessly as when he came. When Emosha left, Sima Yuyu let Little Rock choose a place to land before keeping him into the spirit pearl. Emosha was right. News of her leaving on the 4-winged rock probably already reached Salt City. If she returned while sitting on him, she might end up attracting unnecessary trouble. However, if she pretended to get rid of him on her return, a spirit master with no special rank would definitely not attract any attention at all. In any case, she had already arrived in the central region and it was no longer too dangerous for her. Hugging Little Roar in her embrace, she chose a large and tall tree and crawled up to the lush foliage. In a moment, she chose a relatively thick branch before lying on it and sleeping through the night. When early morning came and the first light of dawn shone on her face, she woke up and hopped onto the ground with a twist of her body. She clapped her hands, letting Little Roar choose a direction to head towards the outer regions and begin traveling. After walking for half a day, she encountered a group of people who were leaving as well. Although, when they first saw her, they didn't manage to link her up with the person yesterday, they were still surprised when they saw that she was wandering around the central regions alone. Sima Yuyu directly disregarded their appraising looks and was neither interested in those people nor talking to them. She communicated with Yiguang while she was rushing down and realized that they did not really leave that far and planned on going back together with them. Little Roar was lying down on Sima Yuyu's shoulder the entire time and didn't use his own effort to walk at all. However, because he was chatting the entire way, Sima Yuyu also felt like the journey was not that far. "Master, help." Sima Yuyu was just joking with Little Roar when she suddenly heard Yiguang's cry for help. "Yiguang, what's wrong?" When she heard his shout, she asked anxiously, "Master, come quickly, we can't hold on anymore, you must come now." Yiguang went silent after he finished speaking, causing Sima Yuyu to jump up in front. She only calmed down when she felt his connection with her. "Little Roar." Sima Yuyu immediately shouted, "Yuyu, come up." Little Roar enlarged his body big enough for Sima Yuyu to sit on top before bringing her to fly through the air. It really seemed as if the distance that separated them was not large. As a strong smell of blood came around half an hour later, there was also a dull fragrance coming from the air. "Oh no, Yuyu, I don't have any more strength," Little Roar suddenly shouted. "Little Roar, what's wrong with you?" Sima Yuyu could feel like Little Roar was not normal and asked, "Yuyu, this air is strange, it's like it's sucking out all the energy in my body." Little Roar stopped and his eyes started to lose focus. Sima Yuyu felt for a bit and knew that they were not far from where Yiguang was, so much so that she could barely hear sounds of them fighting. The battle must be taking place somewhere not too far in front of her. "Little Roar, go back first and leave the rest to me." Sima Yuyu got down and kept Little Roar into the spirit peel to let Little Spirit take care of him before rushing towards the front. Suddenly, she realized that a few silhouettes were hiding in the area in front of her. It looked like those people were peeping over at what was happening over there. "Boss, never thought that those people would be able to hold up against that acacia silk snake for such a long time." Right now, they're relying on that Bei Gong Tang to hold up against it. If she falls, the other three won't be able to hold on, no matter what. This time, they're doomed for sure. Haha, boss is truly wise. You're actually able to lead them to the territory of the acacia silk snake. The man who was referred to as boss gave a cold snort, saying, "Didn't expect that the wolf pack the last time didn't manage to kill them and we actually ran into them here. It's just a pity that Sima Yu is not here, otherwise would be able to eliminate them all in one fell swoop. Since they're all here, I think that Sima Yu should be nearby. As long as we settle the four of them, that waste will fall within your grasp." Sima Yu quietly snuck towards them and heard their conversation clearly. She laughed coldly in her heart. She just knew that there was something off about the fire wolf pack the last time. It turns out that these people were the perpetrators. With a single though a jade bottle appeared in her hand, she opened the cap and threw the bottle towards the middle of those people. Those who were watching Bei Gong Tang bear the brunt of the force relentlessly heard a sound and turned their head in order to see what happened and realized that Sima Yu was standing not too far from them, watching them with a cold air. "Sima Yu, when did you manage to come behind us?" That man shouted with surprise. When they heard that man's voice, the others turned around as well. One of them was the one who was chased by that pack of wolves, so it was you who caused the situation to happen that time. Sima Yu glared at them as her eyes flashed with unconcealed bloodlust. The few of them were intimidated by her imposing manner. Was this really the aura of a waste? "Sima Yu, what do you want?" Hearing sounds of the battle in front of her, Sima Yu glanced over at the front and happened to see that Bei Gong Tang was sent flying by a hit from the tail of the acacia silk snake. Her heart filled with anxiousness, saying, "You all will find out what I want to do in a moment. Are you still thinking of saving them?" The boss looked at Sima Yu. "We initially planned to kill you all secretly, however, since you've discovered us, we'll directly send you to the gates of hell. That will depend on whether or not you have the ability." Sima Yu directly went past them when she finished speaking and charged towards the empty space in front. The few of them wanted to attack her, but they realized that at an unknown time, they could no longer move a muscle. Bei Gong Tang was whipped by the acacia silk snake's tail and was sent flying heavily, sending a cloud of dust flying as she landed. Pfff. A sweet taste rose up in her throat as a mouthful of blood spurted out. There were even some particles mixed into the blood that was sprayed on the ground. "Bei Gong, quickly run away. Don't care about us anymore." Wei Ziqi lay on the ground shouting at Bei Gong Tang. Bei Gong Tang thought about how, ever since she had crawled up from the ground, she had failed in both times she had tried, with one hand clasped on the ground and another grasping her chest. Her face was a sheet of white as she looked towards the acacia silk snake in front of her. She said weakly, "Since you've said that time that we were a team, there's no way I can throw you aside and not care about you. You silly show-off girly. It's a pity that I don't like these kind of people." That acacia silk snake flung its tail towards Bei Gong Tang. "Never thought that a person would be able to hold up against me for so long. They'll send you to hell right now. Relax. With a single hit from my tail, you won't feel the pain of death." After speaking, its tail rose high in the sky as it looked at the body of Bei Gong Tang, its target. Chapter 89. Bei Gong, escape quickly. Wei Ziqi's group of three shouted anxiously as they watched the scene in front of them with eyes turning red. Bei Gong Tang helplessly looked at the tail that was coming down on her. It had already proven its prowess just now. If she got hit by it again, she really would end up paying a visit to Yama, the king of hell. However, she was unable to move as her leg was already broken. It was hard to move any part of her body. She had no choice but to close her eyes and wait for his final strike. "Meng Ji, I'm sorry. I can no longer wait for you to awaken, Mum. Younger brother? Sorry. I can't fulfill our promise. I'm coming back to you all." However, the pain that she imagined did not come. Instead, she heard a clang and the sound of the snake tail hitting the ground beside her. "Yu." Bei Gong Tang heard the shouts of surprise as she opened her eyes to see Sima Yu steady back. His hand was holding onto a weapon, and it was actually a frying pan. Sima Yu turned around and looked at her, saying, "Bei Gong, I've arrived." If not for the fact that the weapon in her hand was too amusing, Bei Gong would definitely have felt that the current Sima Yu was extremely eye-catching. It was a pity that silly weapon really ruined her image too much. Sima Yu noticed that Bei Gong Tang's gaze was on the frying pan in her hands and she smirked, saying, "The situation was too urgent, so I had to make do." She was also rendered completely speechless by the frying pan in her hands, as she was charging over. That acacia silk snake was already going to strike Bei Gong Tang. She had no time to think it through and directly shouted for Ling Long, however. She didn't know that Ling Long just happened to be transforming and happened to have just changed into a frying pan as she was taken out. Using a frying pan to save a person, she had never heard about anyone like this since the beginning of time. Ling Long was also filled with limitless resentment when faced with Sima Yuyu's disdain. Her image Sima Yu had completely destroyed it. Everyone awoke from their initial shock before remembering what situation they were currently in. Yu, leave quickly. This territory belongs to the acacia silk snake. Once you smell the fragrance it shoots out, men will lose all strength. Bei Gong Tang shouted anxiously. Sima Yu glanced over at the acacia silk snake's 7-inch area that was thrashing about on the ground after being beaten by her. There was the badly wounded Bei Gong Tang as well as Wei Ziqi's limp and weak but unharmed group of 3. Together with Yaguang, she understood why they would actually fall to this acacia silk snake that had just increased its rank to saint ranked. Sima Yu bent over and carried Bei Gong Tang and carried her over beside Wei Ziqi and the others. She took out a jade pill bottle and said, "Are you still able to feed yourself some medicine?" Bei Gong Tang nodded and grabbed onto Sima Yu's hand, saying, "Yu, you're not a girl and will get poisoned right away. Quickly run away while the acacia silk snake hasn't come over yet. Yeah, Yu, escape quickly." Fatty Chu said to Sima Yu as he lay paralyzed on top on Yaguang's body. Although Wei Ziqi and Ouyang Fei didn't say anything, the meaning behind the gaze in their eyes was clear enough to tell her what they thought. "Damned human. I'm going to kill you." The acacia silk snake was refreshed after its momentary rest as it spat at her. The 7th inch was the snake species' most vulnerable place. After being maliciously attacked, it took a long while before the snake could move again. Bei Gong Tang pushed Sima Yu, wanting him to run away quickly. Sima Yu patted her hand, saying, "Don't worry. It's useless against me." After speaking, she picked up the frying pan that she had tossed aside and stood up, standing in front of the few of them. She stared directly at the acacia silk snake. "I never knew that a snake like you existed. All male are unable to stand against you, allowing you to live on disgracefully until now. This young master feels like drinking some snake soup. Why don't you contribute?" The acacia silk snake laughed coldly upon Sima Yu's provocation, saying, "Presumptuous kid, how long has it already been since you arrived here? In a moment, you will be like all the other males and lose your strength. You're actually acting so rashly even now." Sima Yu tightened her grasp on the frying pan in her hand, saying, "I've already told you that it's useless on me otherwise. How would I be able to retain my strength until now?" Impossible. The acacia silk snake trusted fully in its own abilities and was quite puzzled towards the fact that Sima Yu had yet to lie paralyzed on the ground. "What's so impossible about it?" Sima Yu smiled as she said, "When did I ever say I was a man?" After she finished speaking, she took advantage of that momentary period where it was stunned and charged up. A saint beast was currently not at the level where she could defeat it alone. She had to take advantage of the time where it was caught off guard in order to attack its 7th inch. Only this way would she attain victory. The acacia silk snake quickly returned to its senses. With a wave of its tail, it directly attacked Sima Yu. Sima Yu flashed towards the left, narrowly avoiding the attack. She even used the chance to move closer by a few steps, decreasing her distance from the acacia silk snake. Fatty Chu and the others were also stunned by what Sima Yu had said. They stared blankly at her, who was fighting with the acacia silk snake with minds still reeling from that sentence. When did I ever say I was a man? If he wasn't a man, that meant she was a woman? The 4 of them didn't believe it, however. She was not affected by the acacia silk snake's fragrance and was still battling it with full strength. Fighting up, down, left and right, it looked like her energy supply was completely fine. As a result, everyone quickly accepted this piece of shocking news. Sima Yu was actually female, 5th-ranked spirit master. Even before that surprising piece of news had settled, because Sima Yu was using spirit power, it revealed to them her real level of strength. They were given another huge shock. "I'm not seeing things wrongly, right?" Fatty Chu wanted to stretch out his hand to rub his eyes, But because he couldn't move, he could only try his best to blink his eyes in order to ascertain that his eyes weren't blurred. Really never expected that Sima Yu's strength actually reached 5th ranked Spirit Master already. Wei Ziqi sighed with admiration. 5th ranked Spirit Master battling a Saint Beast. Ouyang Fei didn't complete his sentence, but everyone understood what he meant. Spirit Warriors, Spirit Masters, and Great Spirit Masters were able to battle with lowly ranked Spirit Beasts, highly ranked Great Spirit Masters. Spirit Kings and Spirit Overlords were able to battle Saint Beasts. This Acacia Silk Snake was already a 1st-ranked Saint Beast and, at the very least, would need a Great Spirit Master in order to be its match. However, Sima Yu was currently only a 5th-ranked Spirit Master. The outcome of her wanting to defeat a Saint Beast was obvious. I believe that Sima Yu is not a rash person. Since she was able to step forward, it should be no problem. Fatty Chu watched Sima Yu's back profile with an unwavering gaze. He did not know when he began to trust in her so fully. I believe in her as well, Bei Gongtang said. After eating the pill that Sima Yu had given her, the pain from her wounds had gradually subsided and her voice did not sound as weak. The thrills that Sima Yu has given us today is really not little. Being a mere spirit master that wants to battle a Saint Beast is something that not everyone can accomplish, Wei Ziqi said. Who knows? She may be able to pull off a miracle. Bei Gongtang looked directly at Sima Yu. She believed that Sima Yu did not speak irresponsibly. When Sima Yu was talking to her, she saw the confidence in Sima Yu's eyes. That look made her believe that she would definitely perform a miracle today. Ouyang Fei watched Sima Yu. He also wanted to believe that she would be able to defeat the Acacia Silk Snake. However, the difference in rank was really too great. Would she really be able to perform a miracle? Chapter 90. Sima Yu was completely clueless towards the thoughts that were running through the minds of the few people behind her. In any case, she was unable to think about other things and had to give 120% of her attention to the Acacia Silk Snake in front of her right now. Yiguang and Little Roar were unable to help her, so she could only rely on her own strength to defeat this Acacia Silk Snake. However, in the minds of others, normally only highly ranked Great Spirit Masters would be able to defeat Saint Beasts. She was an entire rank lower than it, so she had to think of other methods in order to defeat it. Furthermore, the only thing that she was able to rely on now was strength in her past life. She knew a profound martial art that focused solely on speed. So when she came to this world and was cultivating her body, she thought of ways to attain the martial art moves that she used to know. When the Acacia Silk Snake saw that Sima Yu was actually more agile than its tail, its heart raged even more. It increased the speed of which it was swinging its tail, forcing Sima Yu to increase her speed as well. There were a few times where she was struck by the tail, sending her crashing heavily into the ground. She felt a scorching heat coming from behind and a piercing pain came when she moved her left hand slightly. According to her past experiences, she knew that she had broken at least 2 ribs. I can't carry on like this. I need to think of a solution. Quickly. Sima Yu felt that the strength in her body was quickly fading away and there was not much left of her spirit power either. If she continued like this, she would definitely be the one to suffer a crushing defeat as a result. When the Acacia Silk Snake tried to attack her again, this time, she didn't choose to hide. Instead, she narrowly avoided it and grabbed onto the tail when it brought its tail back to its body, brandishing the frying pan in hand, striking it heavily. When Bei Gongtang and the others saw that Sima Yu had actually grabbed onto the Acacia Silk Snake, they were very worried for her, seeing her brandish that frying pan so naturally and landing a direct hit on that Acacia Silk Snake. They really didn't know whether to laugh or cry. If it wasn't such an inappropriate timing right now, it appeared that they would have laughed out loud long ago. If they were able to survive today, this scene would definitely be etched into their memory for the rest of their lives. Even though Ling Long had transformed into a frying pan, her power was definitely not comparable to an ordinary frying pan. Even a spirit beast with thick skin that would normally stand up to a beating would suffer under the hands of Sima Yu's attacks. Arg malicious human. The tail of the Acacia Silk Snake thrashed about in pain. Sima Yu, who was hugging onto its tail, had to hug on tightly with her legs in order to avoid getting thrown off. Die. The Acacia Silk Snake heavily raised its tail as it prepared to smash her to death on the ground. Sima Yu saw a position that was just right and she released its tail, landing on the 7th-inch part of the acacia silk snake with a slight tilt of her body. She blocked the vision of Wei Ziqi and the others. Ling Long, who was in her hands, changed into a dagger as she stabbed it straight in. Receiving a fatal injury, the acacia silk snake curled up like a bow. Sima Yu's legs clamped onto the acacia silk snake as her pair of hands wielded the dagger, stabbing the rest of the knife in. After that, she used a lot of strength to pull downwards and the acacia silk snake's back was directly cut with a 90-meter wound. The acacia silk snake thrashed on the ground as it used all of its remaining strength to viciously fling Sima Yu off, falling onto the ground, never to stir again. Yu. Bei Gongtang and the others had already been stunned by the sudden twist in events and shouted anxiously when they saw Sima Yu lying motionlessly on the ground. The acacia silk snake was still thrashing about on the ground. Albeit less wildly than before, eventually it lay motionlessly on the ground. Yu, what's wrong? Bei Gongtang saw her silhouette lie motionlessly on the ground and her eyes turned red for the first time since they met. However, no matter how much they called out, Sima Yu did not have any form of response. Yu, say something. Fatty Chu looked teary-eyed at Sima Yu and wished that he could dash up immediately. No, Sima Yu wouldn't just die like this. Wei Ziqi mumbled, what are you all flustered about? Guang is still breathing, so this shows that Yu is still alive. At this crucial moment, it was still Ouyang Fei who retained some clarity of mind, and he reminded them as he saw Guang, who was lying down under Fatty Chu's body. She's fine? Fatty Chu glanced coldly at Ouyang Fei as he felt the breathing under his body. His heart gradually calmed down, seeing her crumpled on the ground after a battle with a saint-ranked beast. It was no wonder that everyone thought that she was dead. Cough, cough. After a moment, light coughing sounds could be heard. It was music to the ears of the four of them. Yu, how are you feeling? Sima Yu moved her body and there was not a single part of her body that didn't hurt. With a thought, a jade pill bottle appeared in her hand. With great difficulty, she ate the pill before turning her head over to look at Wei Ziqi and the rest. I'm fine. Seeing Sima Yu's exhausted yet shining eyes, the four of them relaxed. As long as she was alive, it was fine. After they had rested for around an hour, Wei Ziqi and the others finally felt that their bodies had recovered a bit of strength. Ouyang Fei was the first to regain his movement as he struggled to get up, rocking and shaking as he came beside Sima Yu. He stretched forth a hand and wanted to give her a hug. Hiss, when Sima Yu moved, she felt a cold and even more biting pain. Which part hurts? Ouyang Fei didn't dare to move again after seeing Sima Yu in pain. He hugged Sima Yu as they sat in their original spot. Cough, cough, I think most of my ribs are broken. The injuries in other places are not too light either, Sima Yu said. Ouyang Fei supported Sima Yu with one hand and with a single thought, a jade pill bottle appeared in his other hand, a fourth-ranked pill. Sima Yu was incomparably shocked when she saw the pill in Ouyang Fei's hand. How could he have such a precious pill? Ouyang Fei didn't say anything before directly feeding Sima Yu the pill without letting her voice any objections. Wei Ziqi and the others also regained their strength as they came beside Bei Gongtang, saying, how are you? Nothing major, my legs are just broken and I can't walk, Bei Gongtang said. Wei Ziqi pulled up Bei Gongtang's pants and saw how much her leg had swollen. I'll go look for a rod to help you stint it. Fatty Chu, who was the last to crawl back up, said, wait, Fatty. Sima Yu was wrapped in Ouyang Fei's embrace as she said, let's leave this place first or we'll be in trouble when other spirit beasts are attracted here, right? Let's leave first, Wei Ziqi said. Bei Gong, I'll carry you. We'll bandage you in a moment. Bei Gongtang nodded and could not be bothered about things like the inappropriateness between male or female for the moment. Sima Yu called out Guang before calling out Little Roar and letting him enlarge his body. Yu, why are you so seriously injured? Little Roar saw the wounds on Sima Yu's body and said tearfully, it's all Little Roar's fault. I screwed up when I was supposed to guard you. It's not your fault. Grow a little bigger, enough for 10 people, Sima Yu said as she shook her head. Okay. Little Roar's body flashed as he became bigger. It was no problem even if 10 people lay down. Yu, why do you want space for 10 people? Fatty Chu didn't understand. Sima Yu looked into the distance. Her gaze were cold because we have to take a few enemies with us. Chapter 91. Wei Ziqi placed Bei Gongtang on Little Roar's back before looking over at Sima Yu. He furrowed his eyebrows and asked, enemies? The people who led us here? Fatty Chu asked, I've already caused them to fall unconscious. They're all lying down over there. Sima Yu replied, You not only appeared to save but also caught those people. I really look up to you. Fatty Chu exclaimed, Let's go, well carry the few of them on board then leave this place. Ouyang Fei carried Sima Yu onto Little Roar's back as he said to Fatty Chu below, Fatty Chu turned around and ran over to where the few of them were and he really did find those few lying on the ground. He took out a rope and bound the whole lot of them before flinging them onto Little Roar's back after waiting for Fatty Chu to sit down. Little Roar brought everyone and left the area after an hour plus. Little Roar found a cave and brought Sima Yu and the others in. This place isn't bad, let's tend to our wounds here, Sima Yu said as she appraised the area. Fatty Chu was the first to hop off. He held those 5 and grabbed onto one with each hand, carelessly flinging them onto the ground. After that, together with Wei Ziqi and Ouyang Fei, they supported Ouyang Fei as they got off. Sima Yu took out her large bed and set it aside for her and Bei Gong Tang to recuperate. Wei Ziqi and Ouyang Fei carried the two of them to the bed. Ziqi, I'm unable to move right now. I'll give you instructions while you help me set her bones. Sima Yu said, You even know how to set bones? Fatty Chu looked at Sima Yu with surprise. Past experience. 2 boards appeared in her hands as she finished speaking. Use this to fix it properly. You just tell me what to do and I'll do it. Wei Ziqi said as he took the wooden boards. After that, Sima Yu instructed Wei Ziqi on how to properly set Bei Gong Tang's legs before telling all of them to get out before stripping her clothes to get Bei Gong Tang to set her own bones. When they went outside the cave, Fatty Chu and the others finally thought of the secret they had discovered today. Yu really is a girl? Fatty Chu was unable to accept this fact even until now. If anyone were to find out that Yu was a girl, the entire capital would be thunderstruck. Wei Ziqi and the others weren't clear either. They had always thought that Sima Yu was a male. They really needed to digest this new information that she was a female. There must be some special circumstances since the general's residence has always let her masquerade as a male. I think it's better if we don't expose this, Ouyang Fei said. Thinking the same thing, Wei Ziqi said, Nobody has ever found out that Sima Yu's real identity was female. The general's residence is really able to keep a secret. If Yu wanted others to know, she would have mentioned it herself. Since she didn't say anything, there must be some unavoidable circumstance. You guys are right, we better not say anything to avoid giving her any trouble. Fatty Chu nodded his head in agreement. However, Yu is actually a 5th-ranked spirit master. It's really unbelievable. Indeed, Ouyang Fei nodded. The few of them were bantering at the cave entrance when, after quite a long while, Bei Gong Tang finally called them from inside to let them know that they were done and that they could enter. Fatty Chu and the others went in and saw Sima Yu lying on the bed. Her left cheek sported a long gash because she had scraped it against a rock during battle. It was even more obvious after they had washed the dried blood off. Yu, your injuries? Wei Ziqi asked. No problem. It'll be fine after lying down for 2 days, Sima Yu said. What I mean is, that wound on your face, will it leave a scar? Wei Ziqi asked. If she was a male then it was no problem. However, if she was female then they placed more importance on appearance. If a woman's face was scarred, it was the same as asking her to give up her cultivation strength. Sima Yu blinked in confusion before she understood what Wei Ziqi was saying. She replied, No problem, I can just put some anti-scarring medicine for a season when I return and then it'll be fine. That would be great. When Wei Ziqi finished speaking, the whole atmosphere in the cave turned a little awkward. What's wrong with you guys? Sima Yu broke out in goosebumps when she saw the strange way the few of them were looking at her. Cough cough, Yu, we haven't yet known how to react to this sudden knowledge that you're female, Fatty Chu said. However, if you think about it, if it wasn't for what happened today, we would probably never find out that you're female. How did you disguise yourself as a male? Could you possibly be the rumored airport runway? Cough cough, how could I possibly be an airport runway? Sima Yu choked on what Fatty Chu said and almost couldn't draw her next breath. The last time that they had gone to watch some pretty women, she had talked about some airport runways. She never expected that this guy would actually remember. If you're not an airport runway, how come we've never noticed that you have these? After he finished speaking, Fatty Chu even rubbed his chest. His action was extremely obscene. Go and die, you stupid fatty. Arg, Sima Yu had used too much force while shouting that, along with the wounds on her body, had caused her to be in so much pain. Her expression immediately turned cold. You should be a bit more careful. Bei Gongtang sat at the side of the bed, stretching forth one hand to press on Sima Yuyu. After that, she berated, Fatty, Yuyu is currently covered with wounds. There aren't even a few ribs of hers that aren't broken, but you're still provoking her. I'm just speaking frankly. Fatty Chu shrunk his neck as he felt wronged. He was merely curious. How did the Sima Yuyu avoid detection under their discerning eyes? We're also quite curious about this. Wei Ziqi probed Sima Yuyu. Ouyang face stared at Sima Yuyu, his meaning glaringly obvious. Cough cough. Yuyu, why don't you just tell them? Otherwise, they'll keep staring at you, Bei Gongtang said casually. She would never admit that she was curious as well. Sima Yuyu could not help but roll her eyes, saying, you guys will never give it up unless I tell you, and if you frustratingly assume that my chest is like an airport runway, it will be too disastrous for my image. Ugh, it's due to the ring on my finger. As long as I put it on, you will all see me as a male. After she finished speaking, she took off her ring. Her body appeared to transform instantaneously. Wei Ziqi and the others never expected that Sima Yuyu would directly take off her ring, causing a man to turn into a woman. Everyone was incomparably shocked. Sima Yuyu quickly put the ring back on and the female body disappeared. She really appeared as a guy in front of everyone's eyes, as if that female her never existed. Too strange. Fatty Chu cried out with shock that this ring actually exists in this world. I initially thought that only interspatial rings existed. Really very strange, Wei Ziqi said. Where did you get this ring from? If we have the opportunity, well, also go make one to wear. When she heard this, Sima Yuyu was stunned. A picture of Wu Lingyu flashed in her mind along with that forceful kiss just before he left. Who knows what that evildoer, who had shouted to her grow up quickly, was doing right now? Did he already forget her? In a palace far away sat Wu Lingyu, who was reading a book. His heart was suddenly moved and stared out the window as if he was aware of something. Little girl, you have to grow up quickly. Chapter 92. You're obviously a female. Why do you have to disguise yourself as a male? Fatty Chu asked. Sima Yuyu pursed her lips, saying, I don't know either. Grandfather is the one who asked me to. He never told me the reason either. Rest assured, we have already discussed it just now. We won't tell anyone about this. The fact that you're a woman will never come out from our lips. I know you all won't tell. Sima Yuyu said definitively. If they even had a single possibility of having this thought, she would not have gone to save them anyway. Wu, the sound of sleeping talking came from the side, reminding Sima Yuyu and the others of their presence. Who are these people and why did they want to hurt us? Wei Ziqi asked with furrowed eyebrows as he looked at the group of people flung on the ground. Look carefully at the person on the extreme left. Sima Yuyu said. The person on the extreme left? When Fatty Chu that flung that person's body down, he was lying face down and he was facing towards the wall, so nobody noticed him. When they heard what Sima Yuyu said, Fatty Chu ran over and gave him a kick, causing him to flip over and face the ceiling. It's him. Fatty Chu called out with surprise. Fatty Chu, you know him? Wei Ziqi asked. I'm not the only one. You guys know him as well. Fatty Chu stepped away to let the others see the face on the ground as well. It's him. How could it be him? Don't tell me. The three of them had been shocked when they saw this people and all recalled their previous encounter with the wolf pack. They had found it strange at the time, and looking at it now, these people must have intentionally led the wolf pack to them. These people actually keep trying to kill us over and over again. Wei Ziqi clenched his fists. With only his good upbringing stopped him from rushing up to kill them all immediately. Who are these people? Why do they want to kill us? Ouyang Fei didn't understand. I think I know the reason, Fatty Chu said. You do? Bei Gongtang looked at Fatty Chu and wondered how he could possibly know. Fatty Chu came beside the person and gave him a kick. He looked at his face and said, I know this jerk. He's one class above us. He's called Shouho. In this case, these people are all from our school? Wei Ziqi asked. Fatty Chu nodded, saying, this Shouho is in the same class as Wu Tian. As for that Wu Tian, I heard that he's head over heels for Nailin Lan. So you're saying that they want to harm us in order to help Nailin Lan take revenge because we chased her out of school? Sima Yu said. At the end of the day, it's me who has burdened you all. You don't say that we are a team. What's this about burdening or not burdening? If it wasn't for you, we would have turned into the acacia silk snake's lunch. Wei Ziqi said. Yeah, you don't think about nonsense, Fatty Chu said. Since we know that these people are from the academy, what should we do now? How should we settle these people? Everyone quieted down when he said this. According to their way of thinking, it would definitely be tooth for tooth, an eye for an eye. These people wanted to kill them, so there was no need to leave them with their lives. However, They knew now that these people were from the academy. According to rules of the academy, you weren't allowed to harm other students or else you would be expelled. This was a large handcuff on what they could possibly do. Everyone looked to Sima Yu since they had come because of her. She had the most right to decide. Sima Yu smiled, saying, I don't recognize a single one of them. Since we encountered some people trying to kill us in Puluo mountain range, it's natural for us to retaliate. It's not like we know who these people are, right? Everyone was stunned when they heard Sima Yu say this. Yeah, we don't know who these people are at all, don't know which faction they belong to, totally don't know why they want to hurt us. Bei Gongtang was the first to react and replied, Sima Yu. There were many people who went in and out of the Puluo mountain range. If they met someone who tried to kill them, they would definitely retaliate. If they accidentally killed them, it had nothing to do with the school. After all, they really didn't know their identities before. Yeah, we don't recognize them. Wei Ziqi also affirmed as he nodded his head. Since this is the case, what do we do with these people that we don't recognize, yet still wanted to kill us? Ouyang Fei asked. Sima Yu smiled secretly when she heard everyone speak this way. These guys, each and every single one of them acted innocent but were actually so evil. No matter what we do, in any case, we can't let them leave this mountain alive. Bei Gongtang said, if we have no other ideas, I don't mind personally ending their lives. Why dirty our own hands? Sima Yu said, since they know how to use spirit beasts to attack us, we have to pay them back in full, exactly as they have done to us. Yu, what good ideas do you have? Fatty Chu saw the gleam in Sima Yu's eyes and knew that she had thought of another good idea. This you will know when the time comes. Sima Yu didn't say anything. She only smiled secretively when the others saw this. They knew she had an idea and didn't probe any further. Yu, after they finished speaking about this, Bei Gongtang looked at Sima Yu as if she had something to say but was hesitant. Sima Yu immediately knew what she meant with a single thought. A golden snake fruit appeared in her hands. She handed the golden snake fruit over, saying, you should keep this first. The golden snake fruit shouldn't be left out for too long or else it will attract spirit beasts over. It's really the golden snake fruit. Fatty Chu looked at that golden snake fruit with surprise. Yu, how did you manage this? Don't ask about this, you guys. Sima Yu shoved the golden snake fruit into Bei Gongtang's hands and she quickly kept it into her interspatial ring. Yu, thank you. Although Sima Yu didn't say it, everyone knew that it definitely wasn't easy, especially since so many spirit beasts and experts had coveted this. Sima Yu looked the three of them in the eye, saying, you all have a share. However, if one were to directly ingest this, the power would be too explosive and one's body would definitely not be able to handle it. Do you all want the fruit right now or the pill? Fatty Chu and the others thought about it for a while and said, since the fruit is not too useful for humans to directly consume, I'll prefer the pill. I want the pill as well. Wei Ziqi said. Ouyang Fei thought it over for a moment, saying, I want the fruit. Sima Yu didn't ask why as she took a fruit and handed it to Ouyang Fei, who immediately kept it. They had previously agreed that as long as they helped Bei Gongtang scatter that thing onto the bodies of the Nalan clan's people, she would distribute these to them. As a result, they could have whatever they wanted. In any case, she had kept the golden snake fruit tree, so with regards to her, whose soul was damaged, that was the greatest treasure. Furthermore, Little Spirit had already told her that she could transfer out an individual space where she could speed up time, reducing the time it took for the golden snake fruit to mature. Who knows, she might have a few more golden snake fruits not too far from now. As for pills, Mo. Sha could help her settle that. All she needed to do during the fusing stage was to input some spirit power and it would be enough. When they saw that Sima Yu was so generous, the hearts of the other four were extremely moved and this team was even more united than before. Chapter 93. Fatty Ziqi, it looks like I'm going to need some time before I can pass you both your pills. Sima Yu said, no worries, we're not in a rush. Fatty Chu said they were secretly thinking that they didn't actually help out much for this, so they should already be pleasantly surprised that they had already gotten something out of it. If they really were able to increase a rank by obtaining the fruit, then waiting for a period of time was really nothing much. Alright, Yu, what was that thing that you called us to scatter on the Nalan clan? Bei Gongtang asked. Enchanting powder, Sima Yu said, as long as that smell sticks on your body, you'll never be able to wash it off no matter how hard you try. What does it do? Ouyang Fei asked. That wait for the effects to take place, then you will know. Sima Yu smirked evilly. Since the Nalan clan wanted to go out and find trouble with the Sima clan, she would make it so that they wouldn't be able to go out at all. Enough. Yu is injured and can't speak too much. Everyone is tired, so we should all get some rest, Yang Fei said. Because Sima Yu and Bei Gongtang were sleeping on the bed, Yang Fei and the others could only look for a place to rest. Somewhere inside the cave, they didn't bring a bed, so they had to make do with chairs and whatever they brought along. The cave soon became quiet because everyone was already worn out by everything that happened in the day and fell asleep quickly. Sima Yu looked at the side of Yang Fei's face and her eyes flashed with suspicion. Fourth-ranked pills were a rarity in Dongqin Kingdom. He said he was an orphan, so how did he obtain such a precious pill? Furthermore, no matter how you looked at it, she felt that he wasn't an ordinary person. Although her heart held many suspicions, she didn't say anything, just like how she held many secrets who didn't have things that they didn't want others to know. A night passed by quickly and Sima Yu's pill that healed her inner body quickly revealed its usefulness, added on to her particular body constitution. When she woke up on the second day, she was already able to get off the bed and walk around. Damn, Yu. Your healing abilities are too amazing, okay? When they saw Sima Yu like that, the few of them stared at her with gaping mouths. It's the effect of Yang Fei's medicine that is amazing. Sima Yu attributed all her healing to that pill. Bei Gong, how are you doing? Yang Fei didn't reply Sima Yu's underlying question and turned instead to ask Bei Gongtang. Apart from some pain still remaining in my legs, I'm okay in other areas. Bei Gongtang smiled in reply. Although the pill that Sima Yu gave her was not ranked too highly, the wounds that she had received were not that serious, so it was no big deal. Let's rest for one more day today. We'll carry on doing other things tomorrow. Wei Ziqi looked towards the people lying near the wall as he said. The things that he was talking about doing was obviously to deal with them. The two of you rest first, I'll go look for something to eat and return. Yang Fei said, no need, I have them. Sima Yu said, then I'll go fetch some water, I have that too. Sima Yu said, what about firewood? Sima Yu wanted to say that she had that as well, but she didn't want everyone to think that she was Doraemon, so she smiled and shook her head. Then we'll go and look for some firewood, Yang Fei said as he walked out. We'll be nearby. If you need anything, just shout loudly and we'll rush back. After he finished speaking, Wei Ziqi and Yang Fei walked out as well. What's up with them? Sima Yu saw the three of them rush out as she looked at Bei Gongtang with confusion. Cough cough, it appears that there's something that's not too convenient for them to talk about. Bei Gongtang said, something not too convenient to talk about? Then it's convenient over there? Sima Yu nodded with understanding. It was just having to answer the call of nature. How is this something so inconvenient to say? Sima Yu looked down on the three of them in her heart. However, she never thought about the fact that she used to have the identity of guy, so they wouldn't think too much about saying these kind of things in front of her. Now that they knew she was female, they started to feel awkward about it. Bei Gong, you've already obtained the golden snake fruit, so you should quickly give it to your contracted beast to eat, Sima Yu said. Bei Gongtang nodded with a single thought. A green bird appeared in the cave. This is a great Argus? Sima Yu looked at Meng Ji's appearance and asked in surprise. The great Argus belonged to the phoenix family, and the teacher said before that the Yilin continent didn't have any phoenixes. But Bei Gongtang actually had a contract with a great Argus. Was she someone who was actually not from the mainland at all? Bei Gongtang turned a blind eye towards Sima Yu, whose eyes were filled with surprise and then understanding. She knew that Sima Yu would understand a few things after seeing Meng Ji. But she believed that Sima Yu would never breathe a word of it. Meng Ji, Bei Gongtang called a few times before Meng Ji slowly opened her eyes. Master Meng Ji's voice was a bit weak, and it appeared that her wounds were not shallow. She thought that Bei Gongtang would not call her out. Without reason, so her eyes shone. Master, you called me out. Don't tell me it's because Bei Gongtang smiled as she took out the golden snake fruit and placed it beside Meng Ji's beak, saying, this golden snake fruit was snatched by Yu. We have to thank her. Meng Ji looked at Sima Yu, who was lying down on the bed, and said gratefully, thank you. Sima Yu waved her hands, saying, your family's master has already pledged her life to me, so you don't have to thank me. When Meng Ji heard this, she looked to Bei Gongtang with alarm, saying, Master, how could you do this? If you have to use your entire life's happiness to trade for this, Meng Ji will never take it. When she saw Meng Ji's reaction, Sima Yu immediately burst out laughing. Meng Ji, Yu was just teasing you, Bei Gongtang said. She's a woman, how could I follow her all my life? Alright, if we let this golden snake fruit remain outside for too long, It will attract spirit beasts. Quickly eat it, then go back to recover, master. She's really a female? Meng Ji was still looking at Sima Yuyu with suspicion. How could she not even notice that Sima Yuyu was a female? Even her scent didn't reveal it enough. Quickly eat it and return, Sima Yuyu said. Not only is your body injured, the damage to your soul isn't light. That's why you haven't recovered enough, though it's been such a long time. Aside from being able to increase your strength, the golden snake fruit will also heal your soul. Aren't you going to quickly go back and recuperate yet? Meng Ji was incomparably shocked. How did she know that her soul was wounded? This was something that even Bei Gongtang didn't know. Her soul was injured? No wonder her wound didn't heal a single bit, even though it had been such a long time, Bei Gongtang said. Since this is the case, I will return first. Meng Ji saw the questioning look in Bei Gongtang's eyes and picked up the golden snake fruit with her beak before heading back into the contracted space. Seeing that Bei Gongtang was quite anxious, Sima Yuyu smiled, saying, she doesn't want to tell you because she doesn't want you to worry anyway. She has the golden snake fruit, so I believe she will be all right in no time. You should stop worrying. Yuyu, how did you know that Meng Ji's soul was injured? Bei Gongtang asked. Because I have discerning eyes. Sima Yuyu laughed and said, she would never say that Mo Sha was the one who had told her and could only skirt the topic by asking, oh right, how come those three guys still haven't returned? She just finished speaking when she heard the sound of footsteps. It was obvious that the sound came from inside the mountain. However, it wasn't three people, it was a bunch of people. Bei Gongtang could also hear that the footsteps were a little off, and the two of them headed to the cave entrance cautiously, on full alert. Chapter 94. The footsteps came closer and closer, and Sima Yuyu had already taken out a bottle of medicine powder and placed it in Bei Gongtang's hand. The two of them were injured, and in their battle strength had dropped by quite a bit. If they really encountered enemies, this would be able to help stall for a while. The cave that Little Roar had chosen was relatively hidden, but the footsteps were heading directly inside the cave. They didn't hear any calls for help from Ouyang Fei or the others, which proved that strength of the people who came was a few levels higher than theirs. Only then would they not have any opportunity to call for help. It had already been 2 days since the Golden Fruit Tree event had passed. It was possible that those powerful experts had yet to leave and were wandering around the mountain when they happened to meet Fatty Chu and the others. Just when the two of them were making random guesses, the few of them finally reached the cave where back Fatty Chu's round. Chubby Body appeared at the cave entrance, followed by Ouyang Fei and Wei Ziqi. Seeing that the three of them had no external wounds, the two of them relaxed, asking, are you guys okay? Fatty Chu had yet to finish speaking when he was picked up by one of the men from the back and placed behind. After that, some unexpected silhouettes appeared in front of Sima Yuyu, causing her to call out in surprise, third brother, fourth brother, what are you guys doing here? Fifth brother, we heard that you got hurt? Quickly let third brother take a look. Sima Yuran quickly appeared beside Sima Yuyu, wanting to run into her but afraid of hurting her. Third brother, I'm already fine. Sima Yuyu pulled Sima Yuran's hand as she tried to placate his moodiness. Fifth brother, what is the meaning of this? How did you receive such serious injuries? Sima Yulu walked over as his eyes filled with worry and anger. I'll explain it to you later. Okay. Sima Yuyu said, you guys haven't replied me yet? What are you all doing here? We came here to practice combat. Sima Yulu said, and it just so happened that our two groups ended up in Puluo mountain range, so we ended up together. Sima Yuyu just realized that a part of the two of them, there were a few other people standing outside the mountain cave. It looked like they were Sima Yuran's schoolmates. Enough, say it now. How did you get injured? Sima Yuran looked at Sima Yuyu, saying, just now, Little Chu already said that every single one of your bones were broken yesterday. How did you end up getting so gravely injured? This Fatty Chu, didn't he know that her older brother was a control freak? He still dared to tell him that every single one of her bones were broken. Sima Yuyu maliciously glared at Fatty Chu before looking at the 5 men who were still fainted on the ground, saying, it's because of them. They lured us to the territory of a vicious beast. You don't know, but there were so many wolves, it terrified us all. It's because of these people. Sima Yuran glared icily at those men, as if they were already a pile of corpses. That's them. Sima Yuyu said, I'm going to kill them. Sima Yulu stopped for a moment before standing up, taking out his sword, intending to go over and kill those men. Fourth brother, don't be rash. Sima Yu pulled on Sima Lu, saying, these 5 men cannot die in your hands, why not? Everyone was confused, because they're from our academy. Sima Yu explained the entire situation in a moment, however. She left out whatever happened with the acacia silk snake and blamed whatever happened entirely on the wolf pack attack that happened earlier. Too cruel. Sima Yulu angrily went and viciously stomped on them a few times. Then what do you plan to do? Sima Yuran naturally noticed the loophole in whatever Sima Yu had said, for example. For what reason would she have caught those men? Why, it was only her and Bei Gongtang who got injured and so on. However, there were outsiders among them right now, so he didn't expose her and went along with whatever she had said when he asked his question. Of course, it would be to give them a taste of their own medicine. Sima Yu said, they placed us within a pack of wolves, so I want them to meet the exact same kind of situation. That we were able to survive is only because we were lucky. Whether they live or die will depend on their own abilities. Dear older brothers and sisters, you all won't spread this around, right? Pu Luo mountain range was always a place where spirit beasts ran rampant. Encountering a few spirit beasts is something that happens all the time. A lady wearing a red dress said, yeah, the others also agreed. Seeing the rage in their eyes, she figured that they were also feeling unbridled disgust towards the actions of those few people. Since you want to do things this way, then go ahead. Sima Yuran ruffled Sima Yu's hair, turning it into a complete mess. Sima Yu slapped his hand away, saying, third and fourth brother, did you all come to execute a mission? Our mission is already complete and we will return tomorrow. You can go ahead and complete your mission first. Don't even think about chasing us away, Sima Yuran said. We already finished doing whatever we needed to do yesterday and we're already preparing to return. We can wait for your wounds to heal together. This isn't too good, is it? We can't let these other older brothers and sisters wait. Sima Yu said, it's okay, another 1 or 2 days won't matter. Those people said. Sima Yu could see that her 2 brothers were the core of their 2 teams. If the 2 of them didn't want to leave, the others wouldn't say anything. Okay then. She buried her head in the pillow. It looked like they weren't going to leave on their own accord. Those few people knew that Sima Yu and her brothers had just met and would definitely have things to talk about, so they left first. Immediately, Bei Gongtang also found an excuse to get Ouyang Fei and the others to bring her away. Seeing that there was nobody else left in the cave, Sima Yuran finally asked, say it, how did you get those injuries? I just knew I wouldn't be able to hide it from you. See, fourth brother didn't even notice anything was off. Sima Yu pursed her lips and said, you still dare to say it. Sima Yuran slapped Sima Yu's head. If it wasn't for the fact that there were others around, I would have given you 2 slaps long ago. You actually lied even to your older brothers. Come on, it's not like I lied to you on purpose. Sima Yu looked at Sima Yulu with grief, hoping that he would help speak on her behalf. However, Sima Yulu didn't stand on her side this time and had actually turned his head to the side, refusing to look at her at all. Okay, tell us honestly how on earth you got those injuries. Sima Yuran said with a serious face. Okay, Sima Yu told them about the encounter with the wolf pack and the acacia silk snake. After that, she looked at Sima Yuran and the rest pitifully. Your team members were there just now, so I couldn't let them know I was female and could only talk nonsense. Also, this isn't considered nonsense since they were really the ones who caused the incident with the wolves, these people. Sima Yula clenched his fists until his knuckles turned white. Only then did he manage to stop himself from impulsively going over to kill them. So you're saying that your team members all know that you're female? Sima Yuran's attention was focused on this point. If they revealed this, there would definitely be trouble. This brother, you can relax, they won't tell anyone. Sima Yu said, I trust them. I believe that you won't do anything reckless anymore. Sima Yuran said, recuperate today, tomorrow we'll head for Salt City. Grandfather is still there waiting for us. Grandfather hasn't gone back yet? Sima Yu asked. The moment she said this, she realized that she had made a mistake. However, it was too late. She only saw that Sima Yuran, who was initially looking at her tenderly, was staring at her solemnly again. It's over. I won't be able to run this time. Sima Yu grieved in her heart. Chapter 95. How did you know that grandfather came here? Sima Yuran stared at Sima Yu and her heart began to fluster under that gaze. Cough, cough. I saw it that day. Sima Yu beamed at him and said, third brother, didn't you guys say that you came to this place long ago? How did you know that grandfather was here? We met him yesterday. He said that he would remain in Salt City for a while and to go look for him if we were able to leave this place. Sima Yuran said, don't think you'll be able to avoid answering my question. Grandfather didn't say anything about meeting you yesterday, which means that he has no idea you're here. Say it. Where did you see grandfather? Did you secretly run over to snatch the golden snake fruit? Seeing how Sima Yuran was acting, Sima Yu stuffed her head into the people. I just went to take a look from a place very, very far away. I didn't go there. You think I believe you? Sima Yuran took one look at Sima Yu and knew she definitely didn't catch a glimpse from a place very, very far away. The moment Sima Yu heard that Sima Yu actually went to snatch the golden snake fruit, he immediately cried out, "Fifth bro, how could you go to such a dangerous place? Didn't you know that that item attracted many powerful experts and spirit beasts? You actually went to watch the fun in such a dangerous place. You really, if grandfather knew, see how he would deal with you." The moment she heard what Sima Yula said, she immediately raised her head. "Third brother, fourth brother, you have to help me keep this a secret. You can't let grandfather know about this." Sima Yu looked pitifully at the two of them with shining eyes and began to act cute. If it was the past and she did something like this, she would definitely have felt weird about doing something like this. However, it was probably because she was looking at her relatives right now that she did not feel any inhibitions. "Humph, it's such a serious matter. How could we possibly help you keep it a secret?" Sima Yuran chided her with a cold and stern face. "If something happened to you, how would we feel? How sad would grandfather be?" "I was wrong." Sima Yu sincerely admitted her wrongs. No matter what reason she had, when faced with the concern of her loved one, it would not be legitimate. "It's good that you know you were wrong." Sima Yula saw that she was being scolded by Sima Yuran with a stern and cold face and felt a bit of heartache, so he spoke up for her. "That right, third brother, you shouldn't be angry either. I just went to take a little peek because I was curious. I won't do it in the future." Sima Yu looked like extremely earnest. The only thing she didn't do was to slap her chest and pledge, "Humph." Sima Yuran couldn't speak as nicely as Sima Yulu and remained as stern-faced as before. Sima Yulu winked at Sima Yu and she immediately understood. She pulled on the corner of Sima Yuran's clothes and swayed her body. "Third brother, I already know I'm wrong. Don't be angry anymore. If you're angry, my little heart trembles and trembles. Oh no, my wounds are hurting again." "Fifth bro, where hurts?" Sima Yulu asked anxiously. "Sigh, it hurts everywhere." Sima Yu said aggrievedly. "Enough. I know you're faking it." Sima Yuran could not help but look at Sima Yu. How did this brat end up even more cheeky than before? "I can keep from telling grandfather about this, but if you dare to do this kind of things without care for how serious it is, don't talk about not telling grandfather. I will be the first to punish you." When she heard Sima Yuran say this, she knew that the issue was settled. Sima Yu smiled happily as she said, "It won't happen next time, okay?" After she finished speaking, she secretly added another sentence in her heart, "I won't let you all find out next time." If he knew what she was secretly thinking, Sima Yuran would definitely be angered to death. "All right, continue to recuperate for today. Well, see how your body is like tomorrow. If it's not possible, well, wait for one more day. Well, head outside to discuss with them our travel route." Sima Yuran left after speaking with Sima Yula trailing behind. He turned around to give Sima Yu an okay sign, then turned around to leave. Sima Yu buried her head into the pillow again, crying out in her heart in agony for committing such a low-leveled mistake. However, she felt warm all over because of that her family had shown her. When Sima Yuran and Sima Yulu walked out, Wei Ziqi was supporting Bei Gongtang inside because of her identity. The relationships between the five of them had gone through some subtle changes. At the very least, Bei Gongtang would talk to her about female things. Although she was just lying on the bed, her wounds were healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. The next day, for the sake of not holding anyone back, Sima Yu didn't care how painful her bones were. She persisted on traveling. Sima Yuran couldn't convince her and could only let them begin traveling. However, before they left the mountain range, there were still a few things they had to settle. "Yu, should we wake them up now?" Fatty Chu asked. If they don't wake up, then this wouldn't be considered fair." Sima Yu took out a medicine bottle and threw it to Fatty Chu. "Put this under their nose and let them smell it." Fatty Chu followed her instructions, and those who smelled what was in the medicine bottle woke up quickly. Sima Yu. Wu Tian, the group leader, saw Sima Yu and his initially dazed brain immediately woke up. "Still able to recognize me, looks like he's awake." Sima Yu said. "He hasn't eaten for a few days. He must be much weaker now, right? What do you plan to do?" Shoho saw the evil grin on Sima Yuyu's face and suddenly felt a wave of goosebumps, a chill emanating from his heart. Not doing anything, just learning a few things from you all, Sima Yuyu said. This antidote will only be given for a short while and won't be able to help you recover your strength, so the timing is just right. Fatty, be careful not to get any of it on your body, or else don't blame me for throwing you aside without a care. Fatty Chu caught the bottle and poured a bit onto the bodies of those men and said, "Relax, I won't be that stupid." When all 5 men had been sprinkled with the powder, everyone made to walk out of the cave. What have you done to us? An unknown fear gripped his heart as Wu Tian shouted at Sima Yuyai. The others had already left as Fatty Chu turned around, saying, "Didn't we already say we wanted to learn from you? Right now, you can all properly feel what it's like to be graced by spirit beasts." After he finished speaking, he didn't turn around again and left. Not long after Sima Yuyu left, quite a few spirit beasts had smelled the scent that was coming from inside the cave. Went inside. When they saw Wu Tian and his group of men, they charged crazily at them and quickly finished the men off cleanly, where not even bones remained. "Yuyu, what did you scatter on their bodies?" Sima Yu Ran came beside Sima Yuyu and asked, as they had left quite a distance from where the cave was, but they were still able to hear Wu Tian and his men's final cries of agony. "Nothing much, it's just some medicinal powder that attracts spirit beasts." Sima Yuyu answered, "Why do you have something like that?" Sima Yuran asked. "Bought it before we came, because outsiders were present." Sima Yuyu randomly said something. Although these people were her older brother's teammates, she was not acquainted with them and had no plans to let them know about herself. Chapter 96. Sima Yuran and the others had no clue about Sima Yuyu's pill nor medical abilities, so they never expected that this was something she had made herself. "According to our current pace, we should be able to leave in a few days." Wei Ziqi started a new topic of conversation. "We can finally leave. After staying in the mountain for so long, it feels like we've turned into spirit beasts ourselves." Fatty Chu laughed. "You look like a barbarian to me. It's only right for you to remain in this mountain." Sima Yuyu joked, "What do you mean I'm a savage? Humph. I, this little lord, am longing for the bustling of our capital world. If I remain on this mountain for half a year to a year, I will definitely go crazy." Fatty Chu said, "Sai Yu, it's because your heart is not at peace that Ouyang Fei and Bei Gongtang would be so much stronger than you." Sima Yuyu slapped him on the head as she sighed, thinking about how he really was the weakest amongst the 5 of them. Fatty Chu looked ashamed as he shrugged his shoulders, not refuting what Sima Yuyu said. However, he secretly swore in his heart that he definitely couldn't lag behind Sima Yuyu. It was precisely because he made this promise that he became more dedicated in his cultivation later on, increasing it by leaps and bounds. Their journey was smooth and uneventful when they encountered a few spirit beasts. It wasn't too much trouble when they relied on the strength of 10 over of them 3 days later. Riding on the backs of spirit beasts hurrying on their journey, they finally left the Pu Luo mountain range. The spirit beasts continued to carry them towards Salt City. Sima Yuyu sat on the back of Sima Yuran's spirit beast as she turned her head back to gaze at the connecting hilltops under the blanket of the blue sky. Her heart filled with emotions. Bei Gongtang sat on the back of Wei Ziqi's spirit beast, and when they saw Sima Yuyu look back, they turned back as well and were also filled with similar feelings. Nobody ever expected that their expedition this time would cause them to encounter so many things. So many times they brushed past death, but they worked together and saved each other, showing care and concern. It caused them, who had initially come together only to fulfill the mission, to turn into a group of true comrades bounded together through life and death. Sima Yuyu saw that Bei Gongtang and the others had also turned their heads, and she turned her gaze upon at their backs. They happened to turn around and the 3 of them looked at each other, smiling and understanding, sensing their earlier interaction. Ouyang Fei and Fatty Chu looked over as well. Everyone looked at each other and joy was reflected in their tired eyes. A warmth filled each of their hearts, allowing them to find an irreplaceable kind of warmth within this team. The spirit beasts very quickly brought the group of people to Salt City. When they arrived at Salt City, they kept their spirit beasts and directly headed towards the inn that Sima Lai was staying at. The innkeeper was at the counter counting the money when he heard a few people enter. He raised his head, smiled and said, "Oh, customers. Really very sorry, but our little inn has already been completely rented out and currently has no vacancies. Do you all want to go to other places to take a look? We came to look for someone." Sima Yuran said, "Looking for someone?" That customer didn't say that there would be anyone coming to look for them. The innkeeper said with doubt, sorry to the group of you, but those people had instructed me before that unless they specifically said so. They were to be undisturbed at this moment. A few guards came downstairs. When they saw Sima Yu ran and the others, they quickened their steps and came down, walking towards and bowing, saying, "Third young master, fourth young master, fifth young master, you all are finally here. Xiaoling, where's grandfather?" Sima Yu ran asked, "The master is upstairs. We were just preparing to go back to the imperial capital. I came down to check out of our rooms," Xiaoling replied. Xiaoling was the personal bodyguard that followed Sima Lai. Seeing that his expression was off, Sima Yu asked, "Could it be that something happened to grandfather?" Xiaoling didn't think that Sima Yu would be so sensitive and guess it in a moment. He was stunned for a while before he said, "It's true. The general has gotten injured and we are preparing to bring him back to the imperial capital to look for Great Master Shi." "Go back to look for him? That means that grandfather must be seriously injured?" Sima Yu's heart was in shock. What happened to grandfather? "We are unsure of it ourselves. The general didn't let us follow him when he went out yesterday. After that, he returned this morning with serious injuries and has already been unconscious for half a day. The medical doctors that we brought were at their wits' end, and it was useless when we called for pill masters as well. That's why we planned on going to the imperial capital to look for Great Master Shi." Xiaoling replied, "Don't check out yet. I'm going to take a look at grandfather first." After Sima Yu finished speaking, she ran upstairs. "Xiaoling, get the innkeeper to arrange rooms for everyone." Sima Yu ran upstairs as well after he finished speaking. Sima Yu didn't say anything as he dashed upstairs after them. Xiaoling didn't know why Sima Yu didn't let them check out, but since Sima Yu had instructed it, he turned towards the innkeeper and said, "Arrange rooms for everyone." He headed upstairs as well after speaking. Sima Yu didn't ask which room Sima Lai was in. When she arrived upstairs, she simply ran towards the room that was guarded heavily by guards. "Fifth young master." The guards were all shocked when they saw Sima Yu and wondered what he was doing here. However, Sima Yu didn't spend any time on them and directly pushed open the door and entered. Sima Yu ran and Sima Yu came upstairs and nodded towards the guards before hurriedly entering this room was precisely the same that Sima Yu had rented before. She entered the room and saw Sima Lai lying down on the bed. "Grandfather." She ran over and saw that Sima Lai's eyes were shut. His eyebrows furrowed today's and his lips were constantly trembling as if he was in a lot of pain. There was a black chi hovering above him and looked poisonous. At a glance, she quickly grabbed into Sima Lai's hand and took his pulse. When Sima Yu ran and Sima Yu saw Sima Yu like this, they were stunned. Seeing Sima Yu take his pulse, they forgot that she had no medical abilities for a moment and opened their mouth to ask, "Yu, how's grandfather?" Sima Yu didn't say anything. After taking his pulse, she put Sima Lai's hand down, saying, "There's poison wreaking havoc in grandfather's body. However, it's not the usual kind of poison." Sima Yu was puzzled. She observed his body for quite a while when she suddenly pulled at his outer robe, revealing his pitch-black chest. What is this?" Sima Yu cried out in surprise when he saw the thing on Sima Lai's chest. Furthermore, Mo Shah, who had been recovering his soul under the golden snake fruit tree, suddenly opened his eyes as they flashed with suspicion. "So it turns out to be this." Sima Yu saw the black chi around Sima Lai's chest and took a deep breath. Her face was incomparably solemn. "Yu, this?" Sima Yu looked at Sima Yu with confusion. "I kind of know it. I read about it before in a book." Sima Yu said, "Then do you know how to save grandfather? If you can't, then we will immediately take a teleportation array to the capital." Sima Yu said, "It's too late." Sima Yu shook her head. "It takes a day to take the teleportation array to the capital. If the poisonous air within grandfather is not purged, he will die in half a day." "What did you say?" Sima Yu and Sima Yu had lost their wits when they heard what Sima Yu said. It was Sima Yu who quickly reacted as he held Sima Yu by her shoulders and said, "Fifth bro, since you know what this is, do you know how to counter it?" Chapter 97. Sima Yu shook her head, saying, "I haven't thought of any idea yet. I can only suppress the poison in grandfather's body for a period of time for now." "How long?" 2 days, Sima Yu said. "We have to find a way to counter the poison within these 2 days, or else the result will still be the same after these 2 days. "Okay, first suppress the poison for grandfather," Sima Yu anxiously said. "Take off grandfather's upper robes." Sima Yu nodded towards the two of them and said, "Xiaoling just happened to walk in and she instructed him. Tell the innkeeper to send up a jug of strong wine as well as a new piece of cloth." Xiaoling saw Sima Yu. stripping off Sima Lai's clothes and didn't know what Sima Yu wanted to do. However, he still promptly called for the guards guarding the door to do what Sima Yu had instructed. The strong wine and new clothes were quickly sent up, and Sima Yulu had already finished taking off Sima Lai's upper robes. Xiao Ling passed the wine jug over and motioned for the guard to exit before closing the door. "Fifth young master, the strong wine is here." Xiao Ling held the wine jug as he walked over. Sima Yu took the cloth and let Xiao Ling open the wine jug before taking the wine jug herself and pouring the wine over the cloth. When the cloth had been completely soaked by the strong wine, she used the cloth to wipe the top half of Sima Lai's body. After she had wiped it 3 times, she threw the cloth to the corner and, with a thought, a delicate box appeared in front of everyone. She opened the box and took out a needle from inside and quickly stuck it into Sima Lai's body. After that, she stuck a second and a third Sima Yu, and the 3 of them stared as Sima Yu stabbed Sima Lai's body full of needles and were all extremely shocked. They had no idea what function these needles had. After half an hour had passed, Sima Yu's forehead was completely beaded with sweat. After she had placed in the final needle, she heaved a sigh of relief. "Fifth bro, is it done?" Sima Yuren asked when he felt Sima Yu relax. Sima Yu took her sleeve to wipe the sweat off her forehead and said, it has been suppressed for the time being." Sima Yu had needed to be careful at every single step and could not make a single mistake. As a result, the pressure was immense, and it was only at the end, when she had successfully finished the acupuncture, that she had managed to suppress the poison and contain it at Sima Lai's chest area. The ones on grandfather's face have completely subsided. Sima Yu said excitedly as he saw Sima Lai's face. Sima Yu ran and Xiao Ling looked over, and the black qi on his face had truly disappeared, returning him to his usual color. However, because he was injured, he was completely pale. "Fifth bro, how did you accomplish this?" Sima Yuren asked. "I used needles to block grandfather's acupoints." "Acupoints? What is that?" Sima Yu raised his eyebrows in question. "Also, fifth bro, when did you learn medicinal arts?" "I always knew them, you just never knew," Sima Yu said. "Grandfather is currently unable to move, so you all have to remain here to watch over him. I'm going back to my room to rest for a bit and see whether I can think of any ideas." You go ahead and rest then," Sima Yu said. Sima Yu kept the remaining needles into her interspatial ring, then turned to leave. Sima Yu looked at her retreating figure as his eyes flashed with puzzlement. Sima Yu came to the room beside and didn't care about who had occupied it before. In any case, it was hers now. She locked the door from the inside, then teleported her body into the spirit pearl. She wanted to take a look and see whether the medical skills in here would be able to help her in any way. She never thought that she would see Mo Sha the moment she entered. "Mo Sha, what are you doing here? Weren't you beside the golden snake fruit tree? The black qi on your grandfather's chest, what does it look like?" Mo Sha directly asked. Sima Yu knew that Mo Sha could enter and leave the spirit pearl as he pleased, and she had already guessed earlier that he would know about the things happening outside, so she wasn't surprised when he knew about Sima Lai's condition. She thought for a bit before saying, "It looks like a bird claw, but it's six-toed." Sima Yu said, "Six-toed, I knew it," Mo Sha muttered. Sima Yu saw Mo Sha's reaction and asked, "You know it?" "That's not a poison, it's devil qi," Mo Sha said. "What? Devil qi?" Sima Yu's eyes widened. "Didn't you say people from the devil clan remained in the devil realm? How come there's devil qi on grandfather's body? How am I supposed to know?" "I haven't gone back in years," Mo Sha said. "You can just wait until your grandfather wakes up before asking him. Since it's devil qi, do you have any way to save my grandfather?" Sima Yu looked expectantly at Mo Sha. Mo Sha had never seen Sima Yu look at him with that kind of gaze before. In the past, no matter whether she was threatening him or thanking him, her gaze always contained a hint of estrangement. However, the way she was currently looking at him right now carried a trace of dependence. This caused him, who had never been depended upon before, to feel weird. "How about it? Do you have any ideas or not?" Sima Yu urged when she saw that Mo Sha was not speaking. Mo Sha pushed aside the unknown feeling in his heart and said, "I do have an idea, and it is simple. However, after getting rid of the devil qi, your grandfather's body will receive damage." "Then what should we do?" Sima Yu asked. "You just need an ultimate sovereign pill," Mo Sha said. "Ultimate sovereign pill? What kind of pill is that? Which rank?" Sima Yu asked. "A pill that helps one's body to recover. 4th rank," Mo Sha said. 4th rank. Sima Yuyu was stupefied. Where was she supposed to find a fourth-ranked ultimate sovereign pill right now? If it's really impossible, then we just have to help grandfather preserve his life for now. When I'm stronger, I will just find a way to help him recover. I took a look. The spirit pearl has the ingredients necessary to make the ultimate sovereign pill, Mo Sha said. Sima Yuyu raised her head and looked at him, blinking her eyes. That's right, you know alchemy. Help me refine an ultimate sovereign pill, okay? If you want me to lend a hand, that's fine, but you have to agree to one condition, Mo Sha said. Sima Yuyu was stunned. After that, she immediately said solemnly, if you are able to save my grandfather, I promise you that when I am able to dissolve our contract, I will dissolve it. Mo Sha didn't think that Sima Yuyu would know what he was thinking, but just thinking about the connection that they had, it wasn't strange for her to know. However, he didn't feel that it wasn't good. It was just that for someone with his identity, how could he be bound by a person for eternity? Since you know, then there's no need for me to say it. I can refine an ultimate sovereign pill, but you have to inject your spirit power at the end. If not, without using devil chi, that pill will directly claim his life. Mo Sha said, I know. Then when should we begin? Sima Yuyu asked. We can start after you've rested. Mo Sha said, I can also make use of that time to prepare the ingredients. Sima Yuyu nodded as she walked to a place beside the golden snake fruit tree and sat down. This golden snake fruit tree was very useful in aiding the soul in recuperation and was able to help her recover her vitality. When she felt that she had more or less recovered, Mo Sha appeared in front of her, saying, the ingredients have already been prepared. We can begin. The spirit power needed for these 5th-ranked pills are not low. You have to properly prepare. These pills are ones that I just refined. They help to recover one's spirit power. You have dark chi inside you, so even if you use it, there won't be much of a difference. Chapter 98. Sima Yuyu took out a pill and looked at the black thing in her hand. She never thought that a random pill that Mo Sha could refine to recover one's spirit power was already 3rd rank. In that case, what was his rank as an alchemist? Since you were able to refine pills yourself, why do you still need me to help you? Sima Yuyu thought about how he wanted her to help him refine pills and was filled with confusion. In the end, I'm just a soul. I can still stand it if it's just refining these few low-ranked pills. But if the pill is a high rank, then I don't have enough devil chi to fuse the pills, so this is the case. She kept the pill and stood up. Let's begin. Mo Sha couldn't tell what Sima Yuyu was thinking now as he brought her to the alchemy room. Little Spirit was already inside waiting. He knew that she was anxious right now and merely looked over at her without saying anything. I'm going to begin. Wait for me to give the signal to begin, then you should also start to pour in your spirit power. If I don't ask you to stop, you can't stop, or else it will end up worthless. If you don't have enough spirit power, please use those pills. Mo Sha reminded her in a rare moment of kindness. Sima Yuyu nodded as she cast her gaze onto the pill furnace. Although this was a time for her to refine a pill for grandfather, it was also a good time to learn. Watching others perform alchemy was a good time to notice one's own shortcomings in the pursuit of self-improvement. Mo Sha was also thinking the same thing, so while he was refining, he intentionally slowed down the process in order to let Sima Yuyu understand as she looked. However, the consequence was that something that initially only needed 3 to 4 hours was extended by an entire hour. Begin, Mo Sha said. Sima Yuyu also guessed that it was around the time to fuse the pill, so she had made preparations beforehand. The moment Mo Sha called out, she condensed her spirit power outside her body and poured it into the pill furnace. In order for the pill to contain spirit power, she needed to send in the spirit power quickly. As a result, she quickly felt that the spirit power in her body was insufficient. Just when her spirit power was almost drained dry, she took out the pill that Mo Sha had given her and ate it. The pill very quickly showed its usefulness once it entered her body. As she felt the empty tank of spirit power fill to the brim once again, she didn't know whether the power came from the pill itself or pulled from the surroundings. Mo Sha was initially worried that Sima Yuyu wouldn't be familiar with her spirit power and would end up breaking off the stream of power. However, seeing her continuously send in a uniform stream of power, he cast her a look of approval. After she had eaten 2 pills, she held on for another 10 or so minutes more before Mo Sha shouted for her to stop. Sima Yuyu hurriedly returned her hands to her side, and her entire person was depleted of energy. As she sat on the floor, Mo Sha continued refining, waiting for the pill to be complete before extinguishing the fire and retrieving the pill. A golden-colored pill appeared in front of Sima Yu, and that shining golden color was like the color of hope to her. You should stay here properly to rest and recover a bit of your spirit power, Emosha said. Sima Yu nodded, crossing her legs right there as she meditated. The spirit power in her body was currently completely drained as she absorbed spirit power from the surroundings, which quickly entered the empty space in her body, feeling the spirit power in her body fill up once again. The feeling of control returned to her once again. Sima Yu could feel that the spirit power had some kind of movement as the outside spirit power was still flowing into her body ceasingly. This feeling, could it be him about to advance in rank? Sima Yu talked to herself, since that's the case, why don't I try and see if I can advance to the 6th rank? Just as she was prepared to just charge straight into it, little spirit appeared in the alchemy room and interrupted her cultivation. What's wrong? Sima Yu looked at little spirit and asked. I'm just helping you make sure you don't waste your time and energy, little spirit said. You will never be able to advance in rank while in the spirit pearl. No matter how much spirit power you absorb, you will merely store it within your body, can't increase in rank. Why? Sima Yu didn't understand. Because this place doesn't have the heavenly law, little spirit said. Heavenly law? What's that? Sima Yu continued to ask. It's not too convenient for me to tell you what that is. Figure it out yourself, little spirit said. Since you can't increase in rank here, why don't you go outside? Who knows, you may be able to succeed there. Thinking of Sima Lai's condition, she also felt that she didn't want to delay here anymore, so she stood up and prepared to go look for Emosha. However, when she opened the door, she found him standing in front of the door with his hands clasped behind his back, looking at the sky outside. Done? Emosha turned around and asked him, Let's go, Sima Yu said. Emosha nodded and Sima Yu walked out first inside Sima Lai's room. Sima Yu ran and Sima Yu were looking at Sima Lai worriedly. Third brother. The doctors and alchemists that we called over all said that they didn't know what to do. How is 5th bro gonna save grandfather? Sima Yu said. Sima Yu thought of Sima Yu retreating back and said, I don't know either. Right now, we are just hoping that he has thought of a way. We hope that he really has an idea. Sima Yu felt that the things Sima Yu said were strange, but he couldn't pinpoint what exactly. Xiao Ling knocked on the floor twice and pushed it open to enter, saying to the two of them, 3rd young master, 4th young master, 5th young master appears not to be in the house. 5th bro isn't in the house? Sima Yu said disbelievingly. If he isn't in the house, then where is he? This subordinate went to knock on 5th young master's door, but there was no response. Xiao Ling said. It has almost been an entire day since 5th bro went back. Now that grandfather is only left with 1 day. Where could he have gone at this time? Sima Yu said worriedly. I went out to look for something. Sima Yu suddenly appeared at the door, giving the 3 of them a shock. 5th bro, have you thought of a way to save grandfather? Sima Yu asked. Sima Yu nodded, saying, thought of it. However, I need absolute silence. Can you all go out for a moment? Sima Yu and Sima Yu exchanged glances. They had no idea what Sima Yu wanted to do. Rest assured, I will definitely save grandfather. Sima Yu assured them, I won't let anything happen to grandfather. Sima Yu got up and came close to Sima Yu, wanting to pat her head. However, he stopped halfway and put his hand down, saying, We will be waiting for you outside. Sima Yu nodded and Sima Yu saw a strange glint in her eyes, and it was as if he understood something. It caused him to wonder whether or not she had already become aware of her real identity. 5th bro, well, entrust grandfather to you. Sima Yu saw that Sima Yu was leaving and left along with him. Sima Yu turned to close the door and looked at the few of them who were outside, saying, Don't worry, grandfather has cared for me so much that it's my turn now to repay him. After saying this, she closed the door. Sima Yu watched Sima Yu's behavior and exclaimed, 5th bro has really grown up. Sima Yu looked at the tightly closed door and was speechless towards what Sima Yu had said. Did she really grow up? Or did she change into an entirely different person? Inside the house, Sima Yu came to Sima Lai's bedside and with a thought, Emosha appeared beside her. Because there were people outside the house, Sima Yu could not speak. She used the connection they had a result of their contract to communication with Emosha. Emosha, let's begin. Chapter 99. Emosha nodded his head when he saw the claw shape on Sima Lai's chest. He signaled for her to let him eat the ultimate sovereign pill and then to keep the needles that were on his body. Sima Yu did what he said and took out the ultimate sovereign pill. Placing it in his mouth, it was only after seeing him swallow the pill that she kept the needles before retreating to one side. Mo Sha stretched out his right hand and placed it on Sima Lai's chest as a circle of black fog slowly dispersed. From his palm, Sima Yuyu stared at him anxiously as she didn't know how he was going to expel the devil chi from Sima Lai's body. Mo Sha really did as he pleased. The devil chi from Sima Lai's body acted as if it had met its natural enemy and tumbled about chaotically. The six-toed claws were as if alive as they began to move incessantly. Sima Yuyu was stunned by the events happening in front of her. She initially thought that it was some simple devil chi and never expected that it would actually be alive. Seeing the devil claw fight back, Mo Sha snorted coldly as he increased his strength, and that devil claw was unceremoniously and unwillingly dragged out from Sima Lai's body. ZZ, as the devil claws left Sima Lai's body, they released high-pitched squeals that sounded similar to eat squeaks. Just a mere little six-toed devil mouse, still hoping in vain to take root here and challenge me. The devil chi in Mo Sha's hand caught hold of the devil claw as a single gaze caused it to shake like a leaf. Mo Sha used a bit of strength and that devil claw was transformed into a light black mist and was completely engulfed by the black mist in his hand. Done just like this? Sima Yuyu asked as she watched Mo Sha retrieve his own devil chi. Mo Sha nodded as he teleported back into the spirit pearl. Sima Yuyu turned around and helped Sima Lai take his pulse. She felt that his body had been eroded by the devil chi by quite a bit. If they had simply expelled the devil chi, he would definitely have forfeited quite a bit of his strength. However, it was good that they had the ultimate sovereign pill which slowly recovered the areas in his body that had been eroded away. She reckoned that he wouldn't have received much damage to his strength by the time they waited for him to regain consciousness. When she had confirmed that there was nothing wrong with Sima Lai, Sima Yuyu's anxious heart gradually calmed down. She came to the door, took a deep breath, opened it and smiled at the anxious people who were waiting outside for her third brother, fourth brother. It's done. Sima Yulu was anxiously pacing around the room. When he saw Sima Yuyu come out, he dashed in front and grabbed hold of her shoulders, asking, "Fifth bro, grandfather is okay?" Luckily, I did not fail my mission. Sima Yuyu smiled as she stepped out of the way for Sima Yuran and Sima Yulu, who dashed straight in. It was only after they saw that the black chi had already disappeared before they calmed down. "Fifth bro, this time is really all thanks to you." Sima Yulu patted Sima Yuyu on the shoulders as he said, "I just happened to chance upon it in an ancient book." Sima Yuyu said, "No matter what you said, this is really all due to your efforts." Sima Yuran said, "When will grandfather regain consciousness?" "Grandfather's body has been wounded by that devil creature and is recovering right now. He should wake up tomorrow." "Devil creature?" Sima Yuran knitted his eyebrows. "How could a devil creature appear here?" According to what I know, devil creatures are all in the devil realm. I don't know how grandfather encountered a devil creature and even got wounded." Sima Yu said, "We have to wait for grandfather to wake up before finding out." Wait for grandfather to wake up before asking him." Sima Yuran nodded. "Third brother, fourth brother, you all have taken care of grandfather for a whole day. You both should rest. You can just leave it to me." "Okay. Then take care of grandfather well." After an entire day of anxiousness and worry, Sima Yulu was truly feeling exhausted. "Well, just be next door. Remember to call us when grandfather wakes up." Sima Yuran exhorted him. "Relax. I will." Sima Yu sat at Sima Lai's bedside and waved her hands at the two of them. Sima Yulu left first, followed by Sima Yuran. When they closed the door, they turned back to look and saw that Sima Yu was sitting at the bedside. Watching Sima Lai, she carefully helped him to wear his clothes as the corners of her lips curved slightly upwards. When she was the only one left in the house, she contacted Mo Sha, who was in the spirit pearl. "Mo Sha, what kind of devil creature is the six-toed mouse?" "It is merely the lowest-ranked devil beast in the whole devil realm," Mo Sha said indifferently. "Since it's a devil creature, why did it appear in Dongchen?" "There is definitely something strange about this." Mo Sha pondered about it for a moment, saying, "Devil creatures live their entire lives in the devil realm. More accurately, they are confined to the devil realm. Now that they have appeared here, it just shows that they have found an exit and have wandered here. What if large groups of people from the devil clan come?" Sima Yuyu thought of how even the lowest-leveled six-toed mouse could cause Sima Lai to end up this way and didn't even dare think of what would happen if large groups of people from the devil clan came over. it would be likely that the entirety of the living creatures on the continent would be completely exterminated. You can relax, what you're thinking of won't happen. At the very least, not right now. Emosha sneered when he sensed what Sima Yu thought. Why? Sima Yu asked. Didn't I just tell you? The Devil Clan has been confined to the Devil Realm. Since it's being confined, how would large groups of people from the Devil Clan leave? Even if there was an exit, the Devil Clan would never choose to come to the Yilin continent. Why not? Because of the heavenly law. Talking about the heavenly law again. This was the second time that Sima Yu had heard about this, but she had no idea what it was. Still don't understand. Sima Yu shook her head. I'll explain it like this, Emosha said. Because the standard of the Yilin continent is too low and its strength is too weak. For the sake of intercontinental peace, those things are restricted to the higher-ranked places and can't come to this place to wreak havoc. The heavenly law will naturally limit their powers, allowing them to only display powers equivalent to the highest power here. Taking a saint-ranked person, for example, he will only be able to display powers of a spirit warrior, correct? Sima Yu asked. Right, Emosha said, because it's small and weak, it is protected by heavenly law. Furthermore, the barrier between Devil Realm and Yilin continent is the thickest. As a result, those guys won't release these guys and choose to come here. Even if they did come, they wouldn't reap much benefits. They won't waste their time, although it made her slightly upset that he said this place was the weakest one. Hearing this meant she didn't have to worry that the Devil Clan would come here and hurt her family. Furthermore, the Devil Clan is not as powerful as you imagine, Emosha said after pondering for a while. Grandfather is a spirit saint but couldn't defeat a single normal devil beast from the Devil Realm. Isn't it considered powerful? Sima Yu didn't believe it. These six-toed mice have their own special traits. Furthermore, your grandfather probably only fell prey to it because he received a sneak attack. Also, it is only you all of the light attribute that happened to clash with them. If you met other devil beasts, your grandfather would not be without the ability to battle. Grandfather was sneak attacked? Sima Yu looked at Sima Lai. What did he go out to do yesterday that even without talking about how he received such a serious injury, he had been sneak attacked by a devil creature? Since people from the Devil Realm couldn't come to this world, who is it that was using these six-toed mice, and why did they want to hurt grandfather? Grandfather, you have to wake up quickly. Chapter 100. In order to protect Sima Lai, Sima Yu spent the night cultivating in the house. She moved a chair over and placed it on the bedside, crossed her legs and sat on it as she began to practice her soul arts. On the morning of the second day, the warm sunlight streamed into the house. Sima Lai slowly opened his eyes. When he saw the sun shining on Sima Yu's body, he saw a kind of dazzling countenance. After cultivating for an entire night, all the remaining exhaustion from yesterday was completely swept away. Sima Yu let out a long yawn before gently opening her eyes. Grandfather, you're awake. When she saw that Sima Lai was looking at her, Sima Yu was so excited that she almost jumped off the chair. Sima Lai nodded as he looked warmly at her, thinking that his previous circumstance must have scared her. Silly Yu. How did you know that I was here? I met third and fourth brother at the mountains. They said that you were staying here. Sima Yu said, oh, you're awake, so I'm going to call third brother and the rest. You gave us all such a huge scare when you came back wounded and unconscious. After she finished speaking, she dashed out and quickly brought Sima Yu. Ran and Sima Yu lay back with her. Grandfather, you're awake. Do you feel uncomfortable anywhere? Sima Lai shook his head, indicating that he was feeling fine. Xiaoling, get the innkeeper to cook a bit of porridge for breakfast, Sima Yu said to Xiaoling. After thinking for a while, she wasn't sure whether or not the things cooked here were edible, so she changed her mind and said, forget it, I'll do it myself. Third brother, you all stay here and take care of grandfather. I'm going to cook some breakfast. Xiaoling hadn't had time to react before Sima Yu already walked past him and left. He never thought that Sima Yu would actually really be able to save Sima Lai. Looking at his master close his eyes once again, he felt his eyes turn slightly red as he knelt down beside the bed. General, your subordinate lacked the strength to protect you, causing great harm to fall on. General, please punish your subordinate. Xiaoling, you should stand up. I'm the one who didn't let you follow me. It's got nothing to do with you. Although Sima Lai had awakened, he was still quite weak, so his voice sounded like it lacked strength. Xiaoling, you should rise. Grandfather won't blame you, Sima Yu said. Sima Yu came beside Xiaoling and pulled him up, then turned to Sima Lai and said, Grandfather, you don't know how dangerous your situation was this time. If it wasn't for fifth bro who knew how to save you, I'm afraid you would have. He didn't finish his sentence, but everyone understood. It was you who saved me? Sima Lai said with a bit of surprise. Sima Yuran nodded, saying, it was when we came to the lobby we happened to meet Xiao Ling, who was going to check out of the rooms, saying that they wanted back to bring you back to look for Great Master Sure. However, fifth bro examined you and said that if we didn't heal you quickly, you would lose your life in half a day. After that, he used a few needles to suppress and contain the poison in your chest area, delaying it by 1 or 2 days. That's right. We even invited a few doctors over to take a look, but they said they didn't have any idea. After that, during this period of time, fifth bro found a way to save you and then took care of you for an entire night. He said that you would awaken today, and this morning you did wake up. How did you save me? Hearing that his favorite grandchild had saved him, his heart felt especially glad. We don't know either. He made us all go outside, Sima Yula said. Sima Lai thought of the person who had helped her detoxify the poison and wondered, could it be that person who taught her? Up until now, Sima Lai thought that there was a person who was backing Sima Yu and helping her because he was too weak. Sima Lai didn't say too much. Sima Yu ran and the others merely stood beside him and accompanied him. After a moment, Sima Yu carried in a bowl of porridge. She said to Sima Yu ran and the others, third brother, fourth brother, I left a bit of porridge in the kitchen. I'll stay here and feed grandfather. You all should go ahead and eat something. You all haven't eaten for a day either. Okay, Sima Yu ran and the others had eaten the things that Sima Yu bad cooked before and had fallen in love with those delicacies. Furthermore, they hadn't eaten for a day and felt especially hungry, so everyone went out, leaving Sima Lai in her care. Sima Yu placed the serving tray onto the table, coming to the bedside saying, grandfather, I'll help you sit up first and lean against this. Sima Lai nodded and relied on her strength to shift backwards to learn on the back cushion she prepared. Sima Yu carried the porridge over with both hands and took the ladle to ladle out a single scoop before blowing on it and feeding Sima Lai. Grandfather, this is some medicinal porridge which I've mixed some medicine into. It will help a lot in healing your body, Sima Yu said while feeding him. With regards to his power, Sima Lai's demands towards his commitments were very little. In the past, he would often accompany Sima Yu for breakfast and thought just now that it was because of this that she had this habit. It turns out that this was porridge that she had specially cooked and modified for him. The things that Yu makes get more delicious each time. The aroma of the porridge was mouth-watering. When one ate it, they would feel the weariness of the body slip away, cleansing away the chill from every part of the body. The strength in his body gradually came back. If grandfather likes it, Yu will often cook it for you to eat. Sima Yu smiled as she said, haha, okay. Sima Lai heard these heartfelt words. He thought of that man from the past who refused even to go home, and his heart surged with emotion. They said that girls were the most intimate of your cotton-padded jacket, and his granddaughter was the most intimate of them all. The grandfather-granddaughter pair sat in the warmth of the sun eating a bowl of porridge. After he finished eating it, Sima Yu even took out a silk handkerchief to wipe his mouth, leaving Sima Lai's heart feeling incomparably sweet. Sima Yu placed the bowl onto the serving tray on the table and came back, saying, grandfather, do you feel a bit better? That medicinal porridge was really not bad. My body feels nice and warm. Sima Lai said, that's good. Sima Yu said, grandfather, how did you get hurt? It's nothing much. When I went out, I encountered a few of our old enemies. Grandfather, don't fool me. Sima Yu said, devil creatures wouldn't appear on the Yilin continent. If it was your average enemy, you wouldn't have been injured by the six-toed mouse, leaving devil chi on your body. You said those are devil creatures. Sima Lai looked at Sima Yu with a shocked expression that was no less than her own when she first found out. Sima Yu nodded, saying, so I'm guessing that the ones who harmed you are no ordinary enemies. Furthermore, grandfather is so powerful here that nobody in the entire Yilin continent will be able to hurt you, so the weird creature that attacked me at the end was actually a devil creature. Sima Lai muttered, grandfather, you're still not telling me? Sima Yu said, sigh, you have really gotten a lot more shrewd than in the past. Sima Lai said, it's just that the person should have already returned, so even if I say it, grandfather, since it's an enemy that actually is after your life, this is probably no ordinary grievance. Just because he is left now doesn't mean that he won't return. If you don't tell us, then what are we supposed to do if we meet him in the future? Sima Yu cut Sima Lai off and stunned him into silence. After pondering about it for a moment, Sima Lai let out a long sigh, saying, sigh, this is an old clan feud.